Welcome back to the Name Redacted podcast, America's most beloved podcast, the most downloaded Red Sox podcast in the world. And we are joined today by Lucas Giolito, who is, I mean, I feel like I don't even know you anymore. You've got glasses, the beard is thicker, the hair is unkept, and he's tatted the fuck up. Like I saw it before we went on. I was like, who is this guy? What? Like, first of all, how are you doing? How are things?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy that my free agency, my first go of it is over. I feel that I am in a wonderful home, a new family to join. You guys are all part of it. So
big time.
Yeah, here we are.
How much of my recruiting factored into your decision-making process?
You didn't recruit at all.
Oh, fuck off.
Jesus.
You want me to pull up the receipts? I'll pull up the receipts right now. I texted you, I don't know, like it might have been after Thanksgiving. So it wasn't early on in the process. But I said, can you please come to the Red Sox so that we don't suck anymore?
Yeah, you said, yeah. I mean,
that's not nothing.
That's where we are. That's just reality right now.
Yeah, nothing. It's not nothing. I mean, it wasn't like you didn't give me like a crazy pitch or anything. The team actually, and I already said this when I did media. The Red Sox were my first meeting. It was over Zoom. I was sitting right here, and it was incredible. Like the information they had for me when it came to like biomechanics and like the direction, you know, talking with AC, talking with Bales, like I'm very, very excited. I feel that, you know, we're very in line, me personally as a player, everything I'm trying to do, what the organization wants to do for me to get me back to the best version of myself as a pitcher.
Who else was Breslow in the meeting as well, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Was he able to like speak in a language that you understood? Because his introductory press conference, he used a lot of big adjectives and word. Like you had to pull out the thesaurus to know what he was saying.
Well, luckily I went to Harvard Westlake High School, so
yes, you did.
My vocabulary's up there a little bit. I think I can hang.
Yeah. Who impressed you, or whose pitch impressed you the most out of those guys?
Whose pitch?
Yeah, like when they said like, hey, like this is what the research that we've done on you, and here's what we think that we can do, yada yada. Like who I guess like when they tried to sell you on what they could do working with you intrigued you the most?
It was collaborative. I mean, it's hard to say like one specific guy speaking like sold me on coming to the team. I mean, it was very collaborative. It was kind of an open conversation. I think it was a lot of the information. How, and I knew this already from talking with guys around the league, like how advanced the training strength staff, you know, medical side, like it is really, it's like best in the business. So I'm very excited to be a part of that. Everything's connected. So, you know, maybe let's say something's a little out of whack, like boom, they have all the information. We then find the adjustment and put it into play. So, you know, talking like, you know, when Bailey actually put it this way, and it was really interesting to me. It's like, as a pitcher, as a starting pitcher, you're like walking a tightrope. And, you know, if something's a little off and you know, the net, let's say the net is like 1,000 feet down, like you're going to be falling for a long time. That could be a start, 2 starts, 5 starts, 10 starts where things are out of whack and you're just falling. Whereas like the way he wants to do it, the way that the organization has it set up is like that net is like 10 feet above the tightrope. So it's like something's a little off, like you fall off. It's like, okay, an inning, you know, and then boom, oh, here's the adjustment. Let's go. We're good to go. So me, you know, looking at my last 2 seasons, wildly inconsistent. I'm searching for that consistency, and I just feel like I found a great place to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and I watched the interview that you did with Foul Territory, and then your press conference that you did after signing. You were very accountable about your previous 2 seasons, but I feel like what gets lost in translation a little bit is that you were having a great year with the White Sox. Like it didn't kind of take a left turn until you switch teams twice. Like, I feel like that, like, was there something that happened like along that way where it's just like, it's tough to adjust to a completely different team twice with 2 months to go?
I mean, I think for me personally, it was like the White Sox were home. I'd been there for like 6-7 years. So even though I knew I was going to get traded, the way the team was playing, the trade deadline coming up, like I was as mentally prepared for it as possible. It was a little strange. So if I were to do it over again, I'd probably be more prepared next time around. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have an excuse. Like, I pitched very poorly for 2 months and it just destroyed my stats.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit for the season that you were having until that happened, more so. Like it took that turn after the trade, but there was probably north of 20 starts with the White Sox before the trade?
I think so. Yeah. I had like one bad blow up start right before I got traded. I was sitting on like a 3-5, and then I pitched against the Mets and just had a really bad one. And then I think I was traded after that start. Or maybe I had one more and then I was traded. I don't know. So it was just like, it was after the trade, and then especially after the waiver claim a month after that.
Yeah.
Things were just kind of crazy and all over the place.
Yeah. Just riding the Ronaldo Express for since basically
what's funny is Ronaldo he was thriving.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at Ronaldo like, dude, how you doing this right now? Yeah. I'm like, I'm over here just getting crushed, and he was out there just like pumping 100 and blowing dudes up. Like, he didn't give a shit where we were playing.
Yeah. And like, didn't you guys played together like in the minors too, right?
Yeah, we've been playing together since we were like 18.
Yeah. Yeah. So like he ends up with the Braves. You end up in Boston. You mentioned how like the Red Sox were one of the first teams to reach out. How much, because this is your first free agent experience. First question, I guess, like as a two-parter, would be like, were you anticipating the free agent experience? Because I'm sure like it can be stressful, especially for someone that has had to change organizations as much time as you have over the past year. So were you looking forward to it, and did it live up to your expectations?
If you asked me that question at the All-Star break, I was very much looking forward to it.
Yeah.
After the season was over, I was not so much looking forward to it, because I was like, wow, I really, in a 2-3 month period, just cost myself a ton of money, and there's a lot more unknown now. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, though. Like, you play the hand that's dealt to you, and unfortunately, I put myself in that position by pitching so poorly. So, I wasn't exactly hyped for free agency, just because I was thinking back like, dang, man, if only I was just like mediocre instead of god awful for 2 months, it could be a little bit different here. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, it ended up working out really well. Like I was saying earlier, like talking with the Red Sox, I really, really believe in everything they've got cooking, everything they've got going on. I'm really excited to meet most of the guys. I know some of the guys, but like meet everybody, kind of really start to become part of the family. There's a lot of really talented young pitchers. I'm looking forward to working with them and helping them in any way possible I can with my experience. So yeah, it's exciting.
I was going to ask that about, like, you're not even 30 yet, right?
No.
So you are going to be put in a position on this team where you've got a guy like Brayan Bello in the rotation with you. Is it weird for you to be like in a veteran type position to be able to help someone like him? Because like, do you still think of yourself as like the young guy on a team, or are you kind of eager to be like, hey, I know a lot of different shit about pitches and spin and everything else. Like, I can help this kid. Like, what's your mindset on that?
It is interesting, because sometimes I think about my career and I'm like, yeah, I've been around for a while, but most of the time I think about my career and it feels like I was a rookie yesterday.
Yeah.
But I just want do I see myself as like a veteran? Like what? Not really.
You're a tweener.
You know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I made it to free agency. I'm like very fortunate. Like most players don't have that opportunity. It takes a long time to get to free agency. And so I'm very fortunate I was able to do that. And now I want to, you know, hopefully play for another 10 more years. So yeah, it's like, it is kind of weird, but at the same time, I've learned so much from like the vets ahead of me. Now I've been playing with Lance Lynn the last couple of years. Before that, James Shields, you know, he played his last couple of years with the White Sox when I was a baby. I learned a lot from those guys. So it's like, I just want to like kind of pay it forward. You know, now maybe it's my turn to step into that role. And, you know, I'm not going to be a guy that's like bossing young kids around. You know, these guys all, you know, you talk about Bayo, you talk about Cutter Crawford, like these guys are all so wildly talented and they've made it because of their talent, their work ethic. Like I'm not about to just show up and be like, you should do it this way.
Right.
Like, no. It's more about collaboration, you know, being a good teammate. I really take pride in that. So I'm just looking forward to working with these guys and seeing how nasty their shit is.
Like Cutter is getting a lot of love this winter.
As he should.
He's getting a lot of love. Nick Pivetta is having a career resurgence after picking up a sweeper halfway through last year. He turned his season around completely.
Nick is a very good friend of mine.
Yeah, psycho. He is like, he's got that bulldog in him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's one of those dudes that I think really, really earned the respect of the fan base last year, where he could have pouted, and he did a little bit, but then it wasn't an issue. Like for what looked like it could be, he kind of took that, used it as motivation, and completely turned his season around. So I think he's one of those guys, along with Cutter, that fans are really excited to see pitch next year. You mentioned James Shields. Is he the one that showed you what hair product to use, if I remember?
Yeah, originally, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any of that in right now. I've just been chilling at home, but yeah.
I was going to say, because it's been 5 years? 5 years since that interview in spring training? No, because it was after your 20. No, it was 2019, right? Yeah. It was before like your monster season. Yeah. So it's been 5 fucking years, dude. Jesus Christ. Take me through the hair routine. Has it changed at all over the last 5 years?
If anything, it's just gotten lazier. As you can see here, like I have curly hair, so sometimes I'll just like let it ride like that. I'm not like, you know, if I'm feeling it, I'll do the whole blow dry and product and all that. I've been putting oil in my hair now every day.
Okay.
I've been liking that. It's been a little frizzy, so putting the oil in there. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. If I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to do the whole thing, then I'll just like oil, put it how I want it, and spray it to hold it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think what MLB Network, I think, misquoted me or someone. What did they said something where they twisted my words about you telling me what to put in my hair. Did they say something like I showed you what to use or something like that? Because I remember you texted me, you're like, what the fuck did you say?
Yeah, I don't remember. But it was not right.
No,
like,
it wasn't.
Something was, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, no, I gave you credit. Yeah, I think that was probably during like the MLB draft combine is what it was. Yeah, but now I finally figured it out. It took me a long time. I struggled through 19 and 20 was not a good hair period for me. I think it was more so I needed to find the right length. And then I had the right, like I'm still using what you suggested, but now it's like it's a combination. Like I use like 4 different things.
Wow.
Yeah. I have to put you on to some of it though. Actually, you know who suggested the most recent product that I use now? Pat McAfee.
Okay, there you go. I see him on TV all the time.
Yeah. So that's just part of it. That's like 1/4 of the process. Like I'm still using some of your suggestion. I'm still using some of his, and then some other things that I picked up along the way. Like people don't understand like the time and effort that goes into us guys like looking the way that we do.
Yeah. I mean, the beard is hugely important.
Yeah, it is. Because you were
really
more
is.
tight. You were tight during the press conference. Like, you're thicker now.
Again, it's like laziness. I haven't been doing much, so it's like I'll let it grow out. Or the way I trim my beard is freehand, so I have like a what do I use? Like a
straight edge?
Phillips, Norelco, whatever. I don't know. And I don't go put a guard. I just go up in the mirror, like brush it, and I'm freehanding to shape it.
Yeah.
But like right now, it's just been growing out since I did that. Like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
My hair grows really fast. I'm Italian.
Yeah, same. The thicker look looks better because it's darker. The darker features, it looks better. Because you gave me some pointers on the hair, I'll give you some pointers on the beard. Like, I'll give you something to rock with there. Because you're gonna need it. Like, Boston is like a big beard city. Like, it's kind of like a thing over here. What are you looking forward to most about the city of Boston?
Love good seafood.
Yep. Seaport.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking to live, in that area, actually.
Yeah. I think there's a few guys that live there. I think Christian Arroyo last year lived over in the Seaport. It's like all new development. So it's like a really nice area. Yeah, I think Seaport, that's a good choice. That's a good choice for you. A little pricey, but I feel like you can afford it.
Yeah, I've been looking at some apartments and stuff over there. We've been trying to figure out housing for spring training. Usually you want to get on that early, but I wasn't, that wasn't my case. So trying to lock that down.
You're going to live with guys, or you're going to live by yourself?
No, with my girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay. Because there's some interesting combos that go on down in spring training, guys sharing houses together. Like, that needs to be, like, if the Red Sox are looking for content, like the combos of players that end up living together. Who's the most interesting person that you've had a roommate situation with, either in the minors or in spring training?
Oh, man. When back in 2016, Vieira, Florida, it was my first big league camp. It was like me, Spencer Keyboom, RC Orland, Nick Lee, maybe one other guy. We were all stuffed in this like shitty apartment in, again, Vieira, Florida. I don't even know if probably most people listening to this have no idea where that is. It's like where the Nationals' old spring training complex used to be. They're in West Palm Beach now.
Yeah.
It's like in between Orlando and Cocoa Beach, just purely developments. Like, it's not the best place. And
yeah.
It was just like a group of us. We were all buddies from the minor leagues, and we're sharing this apartment. And it must have been like a month into spring training, and we're like all getting sick. Like, what the hell's going on? And then we one day, one of us opens up the like closet that has like the air conditioning thing, and the whole filter was black. There was like mold like dripping down from the walls. It was so foul. Yeah.
This is the Nats share complex with the Astros, right?
Now they do. Yeah, they moved.
Okay.
I think a year or two later.
Okay. Yeah. Because I've been to that complex. I haven't been to the old one. During your introductory press conference with the Red Sox, you mentioned talking to Andrew Bailey and how you guys had been texting, and you like sent him some videos, but hadn't really gotten to the point yet of feedback. Are you at that point now?
Yes. Yeah, we've had we had a really nice call with him and a bunch of the staff, kind of going over, goals, things when it comes to mechanics and strength and power output, and a bunch of kind of different layers and how it can all come together. The biggest thing for me is I'm a deception pitcher, like short arm action, hide the ball. Over the last couple seasons, I've kind of gotten away from that. I've gotten a little bit longer. I've been kind of leaking forward, opening up too soon. So, now I have a very nice like routine drills to really reinforce what I'm trying to do. And it's been going great. I feel very connected. I just threw off the mound a couple days ago. First time throwing some pitches off the mound. Felt really, really connected, hiding the ball again. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to be spilling out too many details about everything, but moving in the right direction. That's kind of what I was saying. I'm very excited to be a part of this organization. For me personally, because I know I'm going to post. I know what to do to stay healthy. I know what to do to make a start every 5-6 days, whatever it may be. Like, I do that. It's the consistency. I want to give quality innings. I want to be throwing quality start after quality start, give the team a chance to win every single time I take the ball. I need to have that deception. I need to have that consistency of release point, execute pitches, and we'll be there. So I feel we're on that track right now.
I'm sure like a vast majority of your correspondence is going to be with Andrew Bailey, but part of, I guess, Breslow's MO with the Cubs was an emphasis on velocity and being able to teach velocity. Not that you need any help with that, but were there any conversations about that in terms of like, you can always like learn a higher velocity? Is that something that interests you at all?
Yeah. So velocity, it's going to come from, there's a few factors. I mean, it can get like real technical.
Yeah. Give me all the nerdy shit. Tyler's the biggest nerd in the world.
Oh my God. I have a bunch of nerd questions all geared up from I know you're a big Foolish baseball fan.
Yeah.
Bailey.
Yeah. So it's like force power into the ground and then like how it's transferring, all that kind of stuff. Like, the Red Sox have highlighted over like the last year, especially areas where I wasn't firing right. And so now I have drills in place to be able to like get that like kinetic chain working in the right way. But for me, it's like simple drills. Like, I like to keep things simple. Where it's like, I can feel what I need to feel. Boom. Like, let me just repeat that, drive it into muscle memory, kind of unlearn the bad habits and really reinforce the good ones.
Yeah. I want Tyler to ask you some of the nerdy shit because I feel like he speaks a language that I can only speak so much of.
So when you were talking to Bailey a couple years ago, you mentioned specifically in 2017, you had made those like 7 starts or whatever. Your ERA was great, but you kind of looked underneath the hood and you were like, there's some things I need to figure out here. I kind of need to work on. Mm-hmm. I think when you dive into 2022 and 2023, and you've been super accountable when talking about it so far, but you look at 2022, the ERA is 4.90. You look at the FIP, it's really just over 4. I think you look at 23 and we talk about those first 20 or so starts. It was like a mid-3s ERA. The FIP was around 4 before everything went off the tracks. How do you kind of break that down on your end? And you kind of look at it and say, all right, well, some of this is just, my 4-seamer's getting lit up and I'm giving up homers. That's going to raise the FIP at the end of the day. How did you all break that down? Or do you kind of look at it more and say, the last 2 years are what they are. They are what my ERA says they are. And I kind of got to just figure out how to get back to 2019 to 2021.
At the end of the day, ERA is king. But as far as like FIP and the biggest thing is the home runs. I gave up a ridiculous amount of home runs last year, and I gave up so many of them in that 2-month span. It was actually like ridiculous. That was being out of sync, falling behind hitters, throwing pitches right down the fucking middle. Hittable pitches like right down the middle. And you couple that with the fact that I'm leaking, I'm showing the ball, I'm not hiding the ball, like the breaking pitches aren't breaking the way they're supposed to. The changeup is not wildly, but much more inconsistent than it used to be. For me, I'm always at my best when I'm riding my 4-seam at the top and I can throw my changeup off of that. And I don't necessarily have to throw like a side spin, like crazy horizontal movement changeup. Like, my bread and butter is throwing the changeup that looks like the heater. It's just slower and throwing it for strikes a lot. Last year, I was throwing a lot of changeups in the dirt. So guys are spitting on change up in the dirt, and then it's like, boom, okay, I throw that one up in the zone. Their eyes light up, home run. Same thing with the heater. It's like missing all over the place with heater, and then boom, here's one right down the middle, home run. Like at the end of the day, it just comes down to consistency. Like walk less guys, give up less home runs, and the stats are going to be much better.
When you were kind of comparing what you were going through, with the Angels and the Guardians at the end of the year versus those conversations you had with Craig, do you feel like there was a substantial different message there was, or was it more, there's only so much I can change midseason as I'm, going from multiple teams here and trying to piece it together? Do you feel like there's something that you were kind of, told or said that was different, right? Because you had a plan coming into the offseason, what I need to kind of get on track. Mm-hmm. Was there something they brought to your attention that even you didn't think of or maybe didn't hear of before?
The Red Sox?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to dive into like crazy specifics, but like they showed me some stuff. They showed me some stuff that was like very eye-opening to me. They showed me stuff in the initial meeting that was so eye-opening that even before I signed with a team, I started working on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And now I'm with them, and now we get to actively work on it together. So it's great.
Right. They is in Bailey AC and Breslow, or Bailey AC?
All the above.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like how involved, like, like I get that Breslow is the main executive here, but I mean, I feel like he has a lot to offer on the pitching side. So I'm just kind of curious, like how involved he is.
I think there's a lot of names behind the scenes as well that like, you're not naming, right? Like guys that are working in the analytics and the biomechanics and et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting. Go ahead, Tyler.
When it comes to some of these metrics and different stuff, since you are a nerd like a lot of us and you can get into, baseball bits and all these things, where do you draw the line as a baseball player? Where do you kind of look at it and say, all right, you're going so deep into fan graphs or baseball savant that like you're no longer speaking the language baseball players speak?
I don't go in those ever.
Interesting. So you're more, like you said, ERA is king, and then more from a coaching standpoint, the mechanics, that end of it, than, looking through a million metrics to piece it together.
Yeah. I mean, the metrics are fun and all, but like you want to get paid, you have to have a good ERA. Like that's how it works. Like as a starting pitcher, you want to get paid, you got to post. Well, sometimes like
it depends on how nasty you are.
Yeah. The nastier you are, the less you have to pitch. But like, in my case, it's like throw a bunch of innings, strike a bunch of guys out, and have a good ERA, and you're going to get paid a lot of money. You're going to have a great career. Like the thing is, like generally, the advanced stats are going to reflect that as well. Like if you're throwing a bunch of strikes, you're striking dudes out, you're not walking so many guys, and you're not giving up a bunch of home runs, you're going to have a good FIP. Like, so it's not, as fun as it is, it's not like super rocket science. Like, yeah, some guys will like you pitch, you have a bad defense behind you, your FIP is going to be lower than, maybe your ERA, whatever, or you pitch in this type of park. Like, but at the end of the day, you want to throw your innings, you want to have a good ERA, you want to punch dudes out in this league. Unless you're like a sinker baller and you get ground balls, like then you're in a different bucket. Like the bucket I'm in, like I'm a swing and miss guy. So I want to throw my innings and strike dudes out, and I just got to stop giving up so many home runs.
Yeah, I think
switching gears a little bit.
Well, before you ask this question, I think I talked to Justin Steele, and I asked him if he looks at his baseball savant page. He didn't even know what it was. Like I find it so baseball fans are obsessed with baseball savant, like hot and cold. Like everyone wants to know, and like this is how fans now evaluate players. But it was fascinating to me how players themselves either didn't know what it was or don't care. Yeah,
some players are into it. I think, like for me, it's like you can look at it and stuff, but it's like, are you going to go out and throw 6-7 innings and give up less than 3 next outing? Like that's what matters at the end of the day. You know, for me, it's like I want to go out there and I want to throw as deep as I can. I want to throw like 110 pitches and 120 if they'll let me. And I want to miss bats and put up zeros. And at the end of the game, I want to look up and we have more runs than the other team and we won. That's all I care about.
Yeah. It's fair.
Like if I go out and do my job well, then everybody's happy. I can keep building up good starts and like, great, free agency will be good, whatever. But that's just being personal, like selfish. At the end of the day, during the season, I want to win. Like that's the driving force. Like it's all about winning. And so I know if I go out and do my job, then we'll probably win.
Fair. Tyler? Go ahead.
Yeah. So we heard yesterday, former teammate of yours, Mike Clevenger, has interest in coming to the Red Sox. I know when Dylan Cease was mentioned in your introductory press conference, you mentioned, we talked earlier, but it was nothing beyond that. Have you guys talked about possibly being in Boston together or something like that playing out? Or, is that more just stuff that, you hear, you talk, whatever, but it's behind closed doors?
With Clev?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I haven't even heard that. It's the first I'm hearing of that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to know. All right. Rob Bradford had it yesterday saying that he had interest in coming here and just trying to connect the dots to see if there's
that'd be cool.
More.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Clev was balling out, I think, the last like couple months of the year. And, he got hell. He had like a little thing midway through the season, but then he got that right. And then he was balling out. I mean, when he's right, he's nasty. Great four-seamer. He's got the sweeper. Yeah.
How often are you looking at, because I mean, obviously, I know like some pitchers get irritated by it, but others are more fascinated by it. Like the whole thing about like the sweeper, and some guys will be like, oh, it's not a sweeper, it's a slider. And like, have you ever even kind of like taken your pitch arsenal and been like, I need to shake it up, or I need to drop this pitch, or I need to add this? Like, how often are you looking at that?
Yeah, like a sweeper wouldn't work for me for my arm slot. I'm over the top. Sweepers, like if you're throwing a sideways curveball, it's usually guys that are like from here.
Yeah.
So for me, my like four seam changeup, like I don't touch those. Like I just want to be behind my four seam, spin it right, ride it, and then the changeup, same kind of deal. I want it to play off the four seam as much as possible. My slider is the pitch I guess I've tinkered with the most. Like I've tried like, oh, let's make it bigger, but then it'll be slower. Again, speaking with the Red Sox, I think we have a good, clear plan of where my slider needs to be. And for me, I think it works best when it kind of like the changeup, it's playing off my fastball, and it's that like late break, regular, like traditional slider, like gyro, not crazy horizontal movement.
Yeah. So going back to something that you said earlier, like I'm glad that you mentioned that you are a guy that you post, like, and for anyone that doesn't know, like the lingo, he makes his fucking starts. Like he's going to take the ball every fifth day and he's going to give you 5, 6, 7 innings and you're going to get 100 plus pitches. When you're going into a season, how much of that is like when you break down your goals, and I know some guys say that like they don't even have goals, like they just want to stay healthy and they want to whatever. How much of that is like, where would you put that on the list of priority? Like the innings part of it?
Number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my number one goal every year is to throw 200 innings. I haven't achieved that yet. So I want to achieve that goal. I want to do it this year more so than probably any other year I've played. Last year, I probably could have gotten 200 innings if I didn't have like 5 starts that were god awful blow up where I only lasted an inning or two. And I think I'm very confident that we can eliminate those by kind of everything I've been talking about, getting the consistency right, and I'll be able to achieve that goal. I just feel this is something James Shields told me. Like if you're out there, you're throwing 200 innings a year, things are going good.
Yeah.
Like you're doing something right. Like the stats are going to reflect that at the end of the day. I'm not going out there like I want to have a sub 3.5 ERA this year. Like there's way too much out of your control for that. but I feel that if I throw 200 innings, then a lot of the other stats are going to reflect that well.
Yeah, there's not many guys that go out there throw 200 innings with a 5+ ERA. It's just like that guy's not like getting trotted out there for 200 innings.
Exactly. Right. You're not lasting into the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning.
No, you're not. So I'm trying to think of like how to word this question, but the language of your contract is interesting. I think I don't even want to call it a concern, but I think when Red Sox fans see it, they're like, all right, so if Giolito comes here and balls out, he's gone because he's going to be able to opt out, re-enter the free agent market, which you should. I mean, like that's like make your fucking money. But at the end of the day, the question that I have is in that scenario, 2024, you absolutely you're top 10 in Cy Young, opt out, free agent again. How much of like the stuff that Bailey and everyone else behind the scenes, like helping you get to that, like say you have a career year this year, how much of that goes into your process of like, all right, like, yeah, like I want to make a ton of money. I want a long-term commitment somewhere. But the fact that this was the team that got me right, how much does that factor in like money in years, if all things are equal?
That's a huge factor.
Okay, cool.
I go out and have a career year. Why wouldn't I prioritize being in the place where I had the career year?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I would want a long-term deal. Like every player wants a long-term deal. I wasn't in a position to demand a good long-term deal. So, we ended up finding a really kind of nice path here for the next season, 2 seasons, whatever it may be. But yeah, like you said, I'm already a huge fan of everything they're bringing to the table, what we're doing here. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jared is like, oh, there he is.
What did I do? Did I freeze?
Yeah, for a little bit.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I think like that's basically what I think fans probably thought would be the case, but wanted to hear. Like it's just good to hear that like that stuff matters at the end of the day. But obviously, the best deal is the best deal. It is what it is. Do you have any more nerdy questions, Tyler?
No, I think just more off that opt out and everything. Obviously, this is negotiations and stuff like that. But when you were kind of valuing, hey, is there maybe a 2 or 3 year offer on the table without that player option there that maybe gives me a little bit more security, but it's not at the money I want? How important was that opt out to you? Was it always, hey, I know I can get back to, 2019, 2021 me? Or was it things kind of just played out in that way? And, it was a contract that fit both sides in a really way that worked.
Yeah, more so it's kind of a contract that fit both sides. I'd say like, I had a bunch of different things we were exploring, me and my agent, like exploring, like, all right, this is what a long-term deal might look like, but what teams would want to do a long-term deal with, me coming off of this season versus like, here's like a straight 1 year or 2 or 3. Like I just felt that we found a nice sweet spot that works out for both sides here.
I know. Oh, go ahead.
No, the last thing I just wanted to kind of put out there, I think everyone connects Lucas Giolito to MLB The Show now. That's kind of one of your ways to prep and get everything together for starts. Is that something you're still planning on doing moving forward? Are you moving away from it, or is it just part of the game at this point that you can't let it go?
Yeah, I know. When I was doing it last year, like I'd pitch as myself and then they'd talk about it. It was like super meta.
You hear it every time.
It was like really meta. It was really weird because here I am like sitting in this hotel in Philadelphia, firing up the game. I have my scouting report stuff. And then I start inning 1 and what announcers do they have? I don't remember, but it's like I hear his voice and he's like, and Lucas Giolito on the mound. An interesting fact about him is he uses MLB The Show to scout his opponents as I'm doing it. It was like, oh my God.
Wait, they say that in the game?
In the game, yeah. Like if you choose Lucas Giolito as your starter in the game, they're going to say that.
That's incredible. I didn't know that. I've been off MLB The Show since like Pedroia was on the cover. What year is that? Like 09?
09, yeah.
Yeah. I don't play.
No, it's it is still, it's part of what I do. I mean, for me, like, I don't like studying by just like staring at an iPad. I don't feel I retain the information as well. If I'm doing something active with the information, then I feel that I retain the information better. So MLB The Show is like the easiest way to do that.
How accurate have you found that is?
Well, it doesn't matter that I don't put so much weight into what's happening in the game.
Yeah.
Like I choose my pitches, my sequences. If I find myself in a situation, like second and third, nobody out, it's like, all right, cool. Like, here's the information on like maybe the way to pitch this guy when there's runners in scoring position and less than 2 outs. And we work off of that. So it just helps me like get the information in my head.
I feel like that's genius. Like,
it's the greatest thing ever. Yeah. That's exactly what I would do. If I was an MLB pitcher, that's all I'd want to do.
Yeah. The results aren't necessarily reflective. Like, there's guys that I know are like super big swing and miss on like this pitch in this location. And it's like, I know in my heart that if I get him in this situation, I execute this pitch here, he's going to swing and miss. And like the video game version of them just like spits on it like nothing, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or, like hits a base hit and it's like, all right, well, whatever. Moving on.
Has anyone else that you played with or against adopted this method because they learned that you did it?
I don't think so. I remember at the All-Star game in 2019, James McCann decided to tell everybody that that's what I did, and they were all making fun of me.
I mean, you make fun of it until it works. Like 2019 was your best year. So it's like, all right, like you can make fun of it all you want, but at the end of the day, like I'm the one that's up here like posting all-star numbers. But we got to talk about your tattoos. Like you just became a tattoo guy, like out of nowhere. Like so I started to ask you and then I stopped because I wanted to save it for the actual podcast. Did you have any before?
No, I've gotten them all this offseason.
So you just at 29?
Yeah.
At 29 years old, you were just like, you know what? I'm a tattoo guy now.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
I've had a list on my phone of tattoos I've wanted since probably I was like 23, 24 years old.
Yep.
I've had a bunch of ideas. One time I was like, I want to get this type of tattoo. And then a friend of mine got a very similar type of tattoo. And I was like, well, I can't get that now because then it'll look like I'm copying him.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I've always had it. I've always wanted to do it. I just never got around to it. It was like maybe not, I didn't see it as much of a priority or what, I was lazy about it, like whatever. But then this off season, I was like, let's do it.
So how many hours, how many sittings have you put in so far? And are you done?
I don't know when I'll be done.
Oh, you're never going to be done. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I've got like just like stickers. It's like random.
Yeah.
They're not random though. They have like meaning, which is good.
Uh-huh.
That's another thing too, is like I've like always wanted them, but I held off. I still want them at 29. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, it's not like I'm going to be like, it's not like I look back. It's like, man, I got this when I was 19 and I regret it. You know what I mean?
I have one of those. It's funny now, but it is.
Yeah. So, how many hours? Not that many. I shout out to my tattoo artist here in Chicago, John Wayne. Dude,
hell of a name.
He is, great name. And he is very talented and works very quickly.
Okay.
So the most recent one I got is right here.
Oh, dude. So that's the worst spot to get a tattoo, pain-wise.
No.
Yes.
No pain at all.
What?
The most painful is probably like in my wrist or something like that.
I have all up in there. And I mean, so once you do the opposite side, like the top of your wrist feels good. It feels like someone's like like it feels like you're itchy, like you have a mosquito bite and someone's scratching it. This sucks, the inside of the wrist, but the inside of the bicep is fucking horrendous. I think
it's different. I think it's different for everybody, man.
You're a lunatic. Like, and this is your left arm too. So it's like, it's not even like the arm that's taking a beating that you're like, your nerves just like don't feel pain. It's your left arm.
Yeah. Right arm strictly for buckets.
Yeah.
No, man. I don't know. It doesn't really hurt. I don't think it hurts that bad.
You're crazy. You're crazy. I mean, that is actually, you know what? The chest also sucks on par with the inside of the bicep. Like, I feel like
I've heard like chest ribs can be pretty tough.
Yeah. Like if you start, how far into your like armpit area does it go? Pretty far in. Like at that point, yes, what you're pointing to right now.
So when like the foot and like this stuff right here was kind of like, but it wasn't like that bad. All of this, I was like, I fell asleep somewhere in this area.
That's crazy to me. Like
I like this one. So it's obviously two dudes fencing, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it's not random. This is my grandfather.
Okay.
He was an Olympic fencer, 2-time national champion.
That's sick.
Yeah. And so I was always infatuated, like going over to his house, my grandmother's house as a kid. I'd always like pick up his like fencing swords and like swing them around and shit like that. And up on the mantle above the fireplace is literally this. It's like an artist did a sketch of him lunging in and getting a guy. And the sketch has always been up there and I've always loved it. So had it turned into a tattoo.
That's sick. Like I was going to ask you what the meanings are, but like some people don't obviously want to share meanings of tattoos. All of them have meaning.
Yeah.
What are you willing to share the rest of them?
So this Bring the Spark, that's something Tyler Skaggs would say like all the time in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't like grow up with him, but I worked out with him a ton. We're from the same hometown. That was like his kind of like catchphrase, I guess. So I got that. This is paintbrush. It's for my mom. She's an oil painter. Above that says "Love you lots." That's like something my grandmother would say a lot. Then you got like the masks here kind of represents like my family, like actors, actresses, writers, like in the drama. You know, I didn't do any of it, so let me get a tattoo for him.
Yeah.
And then I got the palm tree. I grew up in Santa Monica, California, like tons of palm trees.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it just kind of represents home.
All of them have me. Yeah. That like, so my left arm is basically similar to yours, where it's like I have like a tattoo for like my grandfather, my mom, like everyone has like their own thing. And then you'll eventually get to this point too, where my entire right arm was just like, fuck it, dude, do whatever you want, bro. Like just fucking like just pick something that looks sick and put it on there. There's absolutely zero meaning to my right arm, but my left arm is similar to what you did with your left arm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I might get more ideas over time or not. I have a couple, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, you definitely will. Like that is once you dive in, like I feel like it just like you'll keep coming up with different ideas and you'll write them down and then you'll tweak them. And like now what I wish existed before, like now they have these apps where you can like take a picture of yourself and then like take your idea and kind of like Photoshop it on yourself to like see how it would look. Like,
cool.
Wish they had that before I got a fucking white trash tattoo on my leg. But it is what it is. That's the tattoo game. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but I did want to end on this note. I lost a bet to you in 2020. Do you remember?
You have to you have to wear something.
I do. I want to say, I mean, I still have the video saved, but I want to say that I have to wear, was it a cat costume? It was something like that. I have to wear some sort of like animal costume and sit behind the dugout on one of your start days.
Yeah, now it's going to be so much easier for you to do that.
Yeah.
I need to be at this game, please.
Yeah. I mean, if it's up to you. I'll go back and see if it was a cat or not. I did for Christmas get a penguin.
Might be dog. It's either cat or dog.
I think it was a dog. I think it was
Even
a dog.
better.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I have a penguin onesie that I got for Christmas. I can go penguin. If you want it to be a dog, I'll go dog. If you want to negotiate a different animal, I'm up for the discussion.
Do you remember what we were betting over?
It was rock, paper, scissors.
Oh yeah, you were doing a rock, paper, scissors thing.
Yes. Yeah. I think I went like 9-37 or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I don't even remember what I was like, what you would have lost. They were like the wagers were so lopsided. So do you know Kyle Freeland at all?
Yeah.
So I think I did one with him where I lost, but it was something like if I won, I got to pick the music that he came out to. And if he won, then I had to get a tattoo of his number. And so then like last summer, I lost, obviously. Last summer, he texted me before the Rockies came to Fenway. And he's like, what's up, man? You still living in New York? And I was like, no, I'll be at Fenway. It'll be good to see you and catch up. He's like, yeah. Go find a tattoo artist. And I was like, fuck. Like he remembered. So yeah, we went and it was supposed to be on my ass, but we were going to film it. So I was like, can we negotiate somewhere else? So now it's like on my thigh and it's in his handwriting and his 2 looks like a Z. So like when I'm looking at it, it looks like is, but when I'm standing up, it's 21 like in his handwriting on my leg. I always forget about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't care about what you get tattooed on.
Like, I mean, at this point, like before, yes. Like, again, all meaning, fuck it. And then Kyle Freeland's number tattooed on my leg.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you brought it up because I forgot completely, and now you're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I mean I think it was before. It's like now I have to go to Chicago and do all this. Like now I can just roll out of bed, go down the street to Fenway, and
perfect.
Yeah, there you go. Dog. Are we doing dog?
I think so.
That would be so good for content. Please.
All right. You know what? Do you want me to do it? It'll probably be fucking cold, but I'll do it for your first home start if you want.
Oh my. All right.
I want you to be in the zone though. That's the thing. Like if I'm going to fucking sit, like I'll ask Cora. He has seats right next to the dugout and I can probably get those seats. So it's like, if you're looking at the field, they're to the left. So like I would be able to turn to the right and see into the dugout. I don't want to distract you. That's the only thing.
Yeah, maybe not first home start.
Yeah, okay.
But we can do it.
Okay. All right. I don't want to distract you. And also if it's April, it's going to be really cold. And like I would rather like a summer start where like you're lubed up and it's like, all right, I'm in a dog costume, but I'm not freezing. Like it's manageable.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right. When's your birthday?
We can wait. July 14th.
All right. Maybe we'll do it around your birthday.
Cool.
Okay. Done deal.
Perfect.
Lucas Giolito of the Boston Red Sox. Does that sound good yet or no?
Sounds great.
I love that. I love that.
Got my number too, 54.
There you go. That's Darnell McDonald's old number. Can't believe they gave that up.
Yeah, we went with obviously 27 retired.
Mm-hmm.
So went with 27 plus 27.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I will probably see you in spring training.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared.
It's good to see you.
Appreciate you guys. It was fun.
All right. Big thanks to Lucas Giolito for making his Name Redacted debut. It's crazy to me that it's been 5 years now. Yeah, right? Since 2019, that's 5 years? Fuck, man.
Old.
I'm fucking rinsed. That was 5 years ago that I interviewed him.
The best part to come out of that interview is the dog costume. Can you imagine what kind of things we could film? You could be my bullet for a day.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great idea, Tyler. I will I'll get the dog costume if you get a dog collar that has Bullet's name on it. I'll
Fuck yes. And I will kill you outside Fenway Park. We'll reenact it.
Done.
Holy
I'll probably
shit.
want to be killed by that point in the season. What do you say, July?
Yeah. We're 3 months in.
Yeah. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, is bringing you an offer that'll help make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game to get 200 instantly in bonus bets. The Patriots make the playoffs?
Bad news.
What?
Did not make it. 4 wins, Jared.
Just 4 wins?
Just 4.
That's
worse than the Red Sox. They got the 3rd overall pick.
Yikes. Are they gonna take a quarterback?
Maybe. Or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Who the fuck's that?
Marvin Harrison's son.
Who's Marvin Harrison?
Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Oh, is he good? Obviously, he's
amazing.
Yeah, he's got good genes. Where is
They
his son
need a
go to
quarterback
school?
first.
USC.
Ohio? Is it Ohio State? Jake, do you know?
Yeah, it's Ohio State.
Oh,
Yeah,
boom.
Ohio-
There we go.
The Ohio State. Wow. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code Jared, Jared. New customers can bet just $5 to get 200 instantly in bonus bets only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code Jared.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Were there any takeaways for you, Jake, from that interview with Lucas Giolito?
I just like how the whole thing about posting. That's something that obviously we've had trouble with the last couple of years. So the fact that he just wants to be out there, the 200 plus inning goal, love that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I want to hear because, to be quite honest, that's why they brought him here. Going back to last year, the number of starters and he mentioned this in the introductory press conference. He was like, yeah, I wasn't totally following the Red Sox being on 3 different teams, but, there were some injuries and guys that weren't making starts and yada, yada. So just adding him being able to make all 32 starts and average 6 innings per start, something like that, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. And, I'm not even being sarcastic. Like, I am genuinely excited to see what becomes of Nick Pivetta this year. I know people are probably listening. Like, we went from trying to sign fucking Yamamoto to being excited about Nick Pivetta, and it's like, well, yes and no. I think you can be disappointed that Yamamoto's not here, but also be like, all right, well, let's look at what we got, and there are things to be excited about. And I think Breslow mentioned this too in his introductory press conference about, in addition to the additions that we have to make to the roster, we also need the guys that are here to take some steps forward. And I feel like between Bayo, Pivetta, and Cutter, like those are guys that if they take steps forward, like that's pretty solid. You add Giolito to that. I think removing Sale, I still don't entirely know like how I feel about that. Like, especially if he goes to Atlanta and makes 25 fucking starts, you know what I mean? Like now, how do you feel about it? You think so?
It's going to happen. Even if it does, though, I think with Grissom, the Red Sox knew at the end of the day, they saw what he could do in May. They saw him even kind of work it out with 88 miles per hour down the stretch. They know he can still pitch. It's just the ability to log innings. And I think that's why the Giolito thing is so big, because they know this guy's made 29 starts the last 5 seasons or 6 seasons in a row. Like, yeah. I think they look at him and they say, hey, can you be Rick Porcello? You may not be that 3.5 guy you were from 2019 to 21, but we think we can get you, 3.8 to a 4, and you're just going to eat inning after inning. With Sale, like that play, it's about the future. That's what it was. It was getting a second baseman for cheap that is going to be on your team for 6 years, that you hope will, whether it's second base long term or, a Jerkson Profar like role where it's left field, third base, second base, 400 plus at bats.
I don't know where you stand on this, and this isn't like throwing shade or anything, but the Red Sox still need another starter because because if you were to look at like the projected rotation right now, Tanner Houck is in there, and it's not. I love Tanner Houck, but he's a reliever. Garrett Whitlock is a reliever. Like just leave it, make the decision. And I think that we're in a place now with Breslow and Bailey where they can make decisions that I think a lot of fans will agree with. Whereas before there was some indecisiveness, and that's not a shot at Heim. I'm sure that there's plenty of other people that make those decisions with, a guy like Whitlock. Is he a starter? Is he a reliever? Like, I'm sure Cora has influence there as well. But for me, Tanner Houck is a bullpen guy. He's a weapon in the bullpen. It's not, like, I feel like when you talk about guys that are in the rotation and then you want to put them in the bullpen, your immediate thought is, oh, it's a demotion. No, like, I feel like where does this guy help the team the most? Tanner Houck, bullpen, because he's not a one inning guy. He can give you multiple innings. He's a swing and miss guy. He's a strikeout guy. And we know what he is as a starter. I'm not trying to say that, like, oh yeah, he'll never have any success in the big leagues as a starting pitcher. No, but we kind of know at this point, like the third time through the lineup, it's a thing. Like, it's been years of this. Like,
lefty struggles.
Yeah. So I feel like he can be a guy. It's not like, oh, I don't want him in the rotation, so blah, 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 I'm down on him. I'm not down on Tanner Houck. I think he can be an absolute guy out of the bullpen. But if that's the plan, and Whitlock's in the bullpen, and Houck is in the bullpen, that still puts you in a position where you need to add another starting pitcher, which at this point, January 10th, I don't think that the search is over. I mean, it's kind of lining up with what I said last episode or whatever it was, when I said, I don't think the Red Sox are super hot in the free agent market right now. This is when Teoscar Hernandez was still a free agent. And I said, I have the sense that they don't want to go to beyond 2 years. They didn't. Like, you guys can confirm, because of the scoop shop, that when Castillo reported the Red Sox offer, that I had that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and not saying your source, but it was the same source that eventually came to him or shared it. The numbers were identical, to the exact point, the same language, all of it.
Yeah.
Even, the parameter of, hey, we signed Lucas Giolito. At that point, our interest, de-intensified. That is legit word for word how it was broken down in the scoop shop. When we knew it was before Giolito even was signed, it was more like, if Giolito signs, this is how we're going to act after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you want to look at it on a more positive route, I guess, like, it's going to be a fucking task all year to find some positivity talking about this baseball team, but we're going to try our hardest. We
can do it. Come on.
We're going to do it. I mean, we did it last year for a little bit, we did a little positivity last year, but I think where you get, disparaged is when you look at the Red Sox saying, we're not going to spend any money in free agency. If that's the end of the sentence, then you're like, well, what the fuck? But if the second part of the sentence is, it's because we are talking to multiple different teams, like, we want to figure out a way to finagle a trade that's going to at least make people look at us differently next year. Because right now, they're either the same or worse. They're either the same or worse. That's an awful place to be. The same or worse. You can still go out there and make a trade. Like, they have plenty of tradable commodities. Yes or no? Like, I mean, I feel like 100%. That's like,
everyone has reported it since the beginning of the offseason. Sean McAdam has said it. Alex Spear continues to back it. Yeah. They have been focused on the trade market. That's where they're looking. It's just, I think, where some of the panic sets in. A guy we talked about last episode, Jesus Luzardo, right? Well, according to Sean McAdam, the Marlins are getting cold feet.
This is your tweet. This is your tweet from today, from Jim Bowden, who Jay Hay will tell you not the most reliable source, but still, true. I believe it. I believe it because it's not unbelievable. That's why I believe it. This is Tyler Milliken tweeted this today from Jim Bowden. Quote, the Red Sox have made a lot of moves this offseason, but I'm not sure their major league team is any better than it was when the season ended. They've had trade discussions with the White Sox regarding Dylan Cease, but those have never gotten any traction. They touched base with the Brewers on Corbin Burns, and that went nowhere. And then they had a conversation with the Marlins about Jesus Luzardo, and that also came up empty. Free agency means remains their best shot at improving the rotation this offseason, but I'm not sure Red Sox ownership is willing to step up and pay the price it will take to land one of the top starters. All the top starters are gone. Like, Jordan Montgomery's out there.
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell's not coming here.
No,
I don't even think the Red Sox have really even checked in with Blake Snell, which is surprising to me. Like you're not even doing due diligence on Blake Snell. Like I feel like they've probably just looked at whatever numbers that they've needed to look at, and they're like, and it feels like a nope. Like we're gonna look elsewhere. Like I don't think that like there's been very little to remotely zero activity with Blake Snell. Jordan Montgomery, different story. I feel like they would love to have him here, but not for the money that he's looking for either. So then what tier are we talking about? We're talking about the Marcus Stromans of the world. We're talking about who else?
At least cross James Paxton off that list. We've heard in the last couple of days, multiple people inside the organization say don't count on James Paxton coming back. So it's Stroman, as we mentioned, talking to Lucas, a couple minutes ago. Mike Clevenger is pushing out through Rob Bradford saying, hey, I'd like to come to Boston, kind of like Marcus Stroman just did with the Yankees. So it's really that. Hyunjin Ryu is the next name. That's the tier. Michael Lorenzen's out there as well. That's what's left on free agency after that.
Yeah. So,
I think where it gets interesting, right? And this goes off Sean McAdams' report. Alex Spear had it this morning as well, getting into payroll. The Red Sox are at $201 million on the luxury tax right now.
Yeah.
No one in the world believes they're going over the luxury tax at this point. Not a single soul. So it's $36 million there. I think, rumors are popping up about Kenley Jansen. We'll talk Masataka Yoshida as well. Jansen seems like the likely one on the way out. We hear from Andrew Bailey today saying, yeah, I don't think you need that traditional closer in there, as long as you have high leverage elite relievers, right? Well, okay, then you start doing the math in your head. Tanner Houck, Garrett Whitlock, Chris Martin's still here, most likely. They got the arms. John Schreiber probably still here. Well, say you eat or, you send Kenley Jansen, you get $10 million off the books. You get down to $190. Well, if according to Alex Spear, they're not planning on just staying under $200 million, they're going to reuse whatever money they can that they're shedding in terms of payroll. Well, that gives you roughly, almost $40 million, a little bit more than that, up until the actual first luxury tax. It's just, what are you doing with that money? Like, assign a DH, whether it's a Soler or something like that, that's 15 to 16 million. Okay, well, if we're just doing the math in our head, you could also get Jordan Montgomery for that and still stay under the luxury tax. There's avenues there. And then that doesn't even include a trade for a cost-controlled starter that costs nothing. There's avenues to do things. It's January 10th. And the reality is a month from now and 5 days, spring training starts.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say about some of the quote unquote swings and misses by the Red Sox. So you have Teoscar Hernandez gets 1 year, what, $23.5 million?
Yup, and $8.5 million of that is deferred.
Yeah. And with the Red Sox, they were in at 2 years, 28.
Correct. And the Angels were also in the 2 year range.
Yeah. I feel like for Teoscar Hernandez, you could definitely stick with the 2 year deal, bump up the AAV. Would I have done one for 23.5? Probably not. But is there a way that you could have done two for, I don't know, what, 40?
I think where you needed to find the balance, it was likely another year. We know Teoscar Hernandez wanted 4 years initially. That wasn't happening. No one was offering that. Could you have given him 3 years to make it worth it? Then you're giving him some of that consistency. At the end of the day, $23.5 million, we're talking here. 2 years, 28. He's making basically that in 1 year. Plus, he's playing on the best team on the planet. You're going to go live in LA on top of it. So you get to go play for the Dodgers with the best players in the world. You're going to make similar money in 1 year instead of 2 years. And then you hope to hit free agency again, coming off, the worst year of your career.
Yeah. But basically
something has to give one way. Like either you're going to give years or you're going to go crazy with money.
Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that a lot of the deals for these players outside of Yamamoto, like Yamamoto, I'm giving him that contract. Yes, sure. Ohtani, that's a scary contract. Not that the Red Sox were ever in on Ohtani, but that's a scary contract. You look at what Teoscar Hernandez got. It's like, all right, for 1 year, could they spend the money better? Maybe you can make the case. If you need a right-handed outfield bat, Imanaga, I don't know that I was ever really interested because not crazy velocity, gives up a lot of home runs. And, that's a dude that, there's a lot of damage from the right side in the American League East So if you're not getting that fastball in, you're probably getting crushed. So I mean, the best case scenario, what, like projecting Imanaga to be what, a number 3 best case?
Yeah, best case number 3. I think where people are frustrated and mad is we all were talking with Imanaga was going to be $100 million. That's like what every single report was pushing out. Like, hey, he could probably get 100. Well, he only got, all the details aren't out yet. I'm waiting for that pass and tweet, but it's 2 years, 30 million guaranteed. Now it can get up to 80 million and it's about 15 million AAV. So do the math in your head with player options or club options. We don't know the structure yet, but it is less than what many anticipated. Depending on the structure of that deal, if there's a way you could have got out of it after 3-4 years at 15 million AAV, I think most people a week ago would have said, hey, I'd be pretty interested in that deal. I was out once you started talking 100 million. For me, that was too much. It's like the concerns there. I'm not handing maybe a number 3 starter 100 million. There's no point in doing that. At the moment, though, I'm not going to act like I was the biggest Imanaga fan, but for what that contract was, I don't see why the Red Sox weren't in on it. It's pretty much rate and structure, but maybe you go out and say, well, if that was the best offer on the table, then maybe that says what other teams think about the guy within himself. But if you had told me a week ago he was going to get 15 million AAV, I think most Red Sox fans would have put their hand up and said I'd sign him.
Yeah. I just feel like
not a needle mover though.
No, it's not a needle mover. It's more just I have higher hopes. I want a more proven commodity. When you go down the list of those 4 guys, Pivetta, Giolito, Cutter, and Bayo, it's like, okay, I like those 4. So now you only have one more spot. And am I going to give it to a guy that best case scenario is number 3? Like, no, I need a guy that best case scenario who's number 1. Like that's what we need on this team. And they do have the trade chips to do that and go out and do it. So I still have hopes for that. Maybe I'm a fucking idiot. Do you think I'm an idiot?
No, I think there's going to be a trade. I think anyone who doesn't think they're going to make a deal at this point, like I understand being negative and where things are at. That's the biggest thing they've said all offseason, that they're ready to move assets. It's every report. Is it going to be Dylan Cease? Is it going to be even Jesus Luzardo? I don't know. It could be a number 3, number 4 guy that's cost controlled that they look and say, no, we think he's going to take the leap or he's about to. He's in that area. Maybe less of a prospect package at that point, especially if they're hesitant to trade one of the big 3, right? And now we know Marcel Meyer's healthy, so that factors into all this. But if they're hesitant to trade one of those guys and it's someone who's in that 3-4 area that they think that grows into that, okay. But you're not, I've lost out hope that you're going to get that ace because I don't think that's going to be the case. I think when the season rolls around, more likely than not, we're talking Brian Bayo. Maybe it's Giolito starting on opening day. You probably give it to Bayo just because he's been here and maybe it's a passing of the torch moment.
Yeah.
And you just hope that it's another mid-rotation cost control starter. And I wouldn't be surprised if they bring a free agent into the mix too, especially if you make a deal and maybe a Cutter or a Pivetta or someone like that ends up getting flipped, or a Whitlock or Houck and you need to refill those spots in the bullpen.
Or someone goes down. Like you still need arms. I mean, you can't just go in with 5.
Yeah, last year you had 7 and you ended up being in trouble by the time the season rolled around.
Yeah, you went in with 7 and ended up with 3 for a half the fucking season. So yeah, there's still work to be done. I just hope that some of that work is prominent. I hope that it's a big move. I feel like a fucking idiot for thinking that a big move is still coming, and people are like, oh, is that Scoop Shop? Like, no, like I for what we've heard and what we've read that's public, it lines up where the Red Sox are talking to teams, trying to make trades with multiple teams, and it doesn't seem like it's getting anywhere. And then you have the Jim Bowden report where it's like, yeah, they checked in on Cease, they checked in on Luzardo, they checked in on Burns, and nothing came from any of it.
You know why?
Why?
Because there's still names on the market. And they're going to wait, these teams with these arms that they can trade, they were going to wait till these arms are off the market, because then they can grab you by the fucking balls and say, we know how desperate you are. There's no one else who can, you can say, hey, we're going to go talk to Montgomery, or we're going to go talk to Lorenzen, whoever's on the free agent market. There's none of that. Then they can really hold you. And I think the Red Sox are already caught in this more than people realize. Everybody in the fucking world knows they're trying to make a trade for a starter. Everyone. So you already have them bent over knowing they're desperate to make a move. You start taking off those free agent options and where the Red Sox offseason stands, that's how you end up with one of those top 3 maybe leaking into a trade.
And they know that they have a ton of really good prospects. It's like, when like you go to like these richer neighborhoods and they have all like the fancy shops. It's like, yeah, we know we can charge you more money because we know that you have money. That's what's going on right now. I'm trying my best to not get to a point where I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I'm definitely impatient. I'm there. I'm frustrated. I'm mad. And I don't want to get to a point where, I mean, it's my job. So I'm never going to say like, fuck it. Like, I'm not going to watch the games. I know people were saying on the Section 10 Reddit, like, boycott, like we need to boycott winter weekend and blah, blah, or like, don't go to the games. I level with the Red Sox fans that are like, I'm angry too, but I love baseball. Like, the Red Sox are probably going to suck, but I'm going to watch the games because that's what I like to do.
It's our life. What else do we do?
That's where I'm at. Like, I am not excited for the season at all. It's like, I mean, I don't want to make like an insensitive comparison, but it is like being an abused child. I'm like, Daddy, why don't you love me? Like what? Like, you used to love me and now you don't. Like, it is an abusive relationship with the Red Sox. If you're a fan, being like, you used to show, like, you love bombed me in the beginning, and now you don't even pay attention to me. Now, like, you're off doing whatever with all these other people and you don't even pay attention to me anymore. That's what it feels like. It gives you like PTSD from past relationships that have trauma. And that's how I feel. Like, I would love to be able to stand up and do something about it. There's nothing I can do. I'm not an owner. I don't work for the team. Like, the people are like, oh, like Jared won't say anything because he doesn't want to hurt his relationship with the team. Like, Lucas Giolito just came on this podcast. Do you think that's because of my relationship with the team? No. It's because
are you hosting Town Hall this year, Jared?
No, I'm sure not. No.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have a contract with Nesson. I'm not an employee. Like, John Henry doesn't cut my checks. I don't have some secret ambassador role with the Boston Red Sox. Like, and if this is like an extreme example that people use against me all the time, he won't say anything because they'll take away his access. Buddy, like, take it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you think this stuff is coming, the stuff we do in the scoop shop, you think it's coming from inside the Red Sox organization?
No.
Good luck to you. Good luck to you.
Like, I mean, listen, I appreciate and I love the fact that the Red Sox let me go on the field for batting practice before games and stuff, but that no longer serves me. Like, if a player or a personality is going to come on this podcast, it's because I connected with them through social media. I met them when they were on another team, like stuff like that. So I am not handcuffed to be able to criticize the Boston Red Sox for any reason of like John Henry's doing or the team's doing. Like, it is like, I feel like I've been pretty Dan Shaughnessy reached out and was like, finally, you're fucking speaking out on the Red Sox. I'm like, Dan, I've been, where have you been, bro? Like, I've been frustrated and fed up with this shit for years. Like the dude that tweeted me before the show, he's like, what, why don't you call John Henry? Like, I'm the only motherfucker that has. I'm the only one who has. What are you talking about? Like, I don't get, like, yes, I love the Red Sox. I will always love the Red Sox. I will always blindly support the Boston Red Sox, the players, like the wins and losses. But when it comes down to like my life is the Boston Red Sox. It's a big part of it. It's a big, big part of it. Maybe the biggest. So I do take it personally when I feel like the owners don't care. I do take it personally when I feel like and this stood out to me today. Someone actually said this to me in the replies for one of the tweets that I was talking about today about like ownership not showing up to winter weekend, which we'll talk about. As a fan, I should never care more about the team than the owners do. And right now, I feel like that's accurate for a lot of people. And that's how I feel. I know that a lot of people, if you feel that way, your feelings are not invalid. I'm here to validate your feelings. If like, I am in a very fortunate position to where I do have access, right? So like, if I want to go to Fenway, I can just go. Like, yeah, I got to pay for parking and I got to pay for gas to drive into Fenway, but I can just go and then I'll find a seat somewhere, whatever. But like the people, and I still have my season tickets, by the way. Like me and my dad still have season tickets in Section 10. So like we are giving the team money. Like I do pay for tickets here. But in terms of and that's probably like 10 games, maybe like we split it. So like that's 10 games that I'm paying for. I probably end up at what, 40 plus 50 games, whatever it is. So that's an investment of time, which is more important than anything. I'm investing my time. I'm watching 162 games. I am going to Fenway a ton. And no, I'm not always paying to get in. So that's why I sympathize more with the fans that are like, hey man, like I'm 21. I just graduated from college. I have an entry level job. I'm getting paid $32,000 a year. I got to pay for rent and food. I got a girlfriend. I got to buy her Christmas presents at the end of the year. Like I need to make sure like all this shit is like accounted for at the end of the year when I'm chopping up my budget. Why would I find a slot for Red Sox? Like why would I pay for cable? Like I can cut the cord. Fuck it. Whatever. I'll read the box score tomorrow. Like now I got to pay for cable to get Nessent. I got to pay for tickets so I can go to a few games. Or like I'm going to pay for like a Red Sox jersey and all this shit. Like why are you doing that? Like if the owners are telling you we don't care, and not only are they telling you we don't care, they're like in a way it's like rubbing it in your face by not going to winter weekend. Like, I understand last year was a disaster, but I think Heim put it perfectly. When he talked about last year, he was like, listen, if we're going to stand up here one day after we win the World Series and you guys are going to cheer us and tell us how great we are, that would be so fraudulent if we didn't stand up here after finishing in last place and hear it from you guys. Heim took it the best. Like, Heim stood up there, took it from the fans, explained the thought process. Maybe he fucked up by saying bet and bets 20 times in a single sentence.
At least he tried.
He tried. He went up there and he took it. But the Red Sox having winter weekend and canceling the town hall, which is the event that you have ownership, you have executives, you have the manager. They go up there. They do a Q&A with Tom Caron, who does an excellent job. And then they give the microphone to the fans who ask their questions. That's the only, and I know that it gets annoying when Chris Cotillo does it. He complains, oh, John Henry never faces the music, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, he does at that. At least we have this. Not only did they cancel the event, John Henry's not going to be there. Sam Kennedy's going to be there. Craig Breslow is going to be there. John Henry's not going to be there. I don't know about Tom Warner, but it's like, we're going to cancel this event and we're going to be like, oh, look at Jonathan Papelbon though. But look at Jonathan, he's funny. Come on. Like it's insulting. Like the Red Sox have one of the smartest fan bases in the fucking game, bar none. Like all the players over my lifetime that I've become friends with after their playing days, like all the guys on 04 and like 03, like that time, the 07 team, Tyler,
beautiful,
those guys, they're like, yeah, I mean, I played in a lot of different places, but nothing's like Boston. Like those people, they know baseball. They bleed baseball. And when I threw out the tweet earlier today saying, you know, we're getting dangerously close to going back to a fan interest level that was pre-Pedro, and the number of responses that were like, buddy, I'm already there. Like, I am already there. And I get it. I'm not like before. I used to take so much offense to that. Be like, what do you mean? Like, why aren't you excited for the Red Sox? Like, you know, and you could still make that case. I'm not telling people to not watch. I'm not telling people to not care. I'm just saying I get it when you tell me that you don't.
And it's not saying, you know, I get the people in my reply say like, Tristan Casas, Brian Bayo, there's things to be excited about. Of course, for us hardcore 162 guys that sit there and do all these things. But if you're talking from the wide picture perspective, that's where people are going to get disconnected. When you're talking about not competing, I don't know any other business. And that's what you can call the Red Sox at this point, right? A business where you would fire the main guy who was running your front office, who was handling all those things in the same year. A year ago when you were getting booed, talking about the direction of your franchise, spending money, all these things. A year later, that guy is fired. And you can't step in front of people for 30 minutes, for 40 minutes and just answer questions. And on top of it, they play this weird ass game where it is January 10th right now, right? It's in 10 days, winter weekend. Keep that in mind. Where they have had people buying tickets going back to the very beginning of December, November.
Yeah.
And they did not comment on it. They did not say a word about it. They let people kind of say, well, is it going to happen? Buy tickets, go and see. And then you wait until 10 days before to say, guess what? None of this is happening in the first place. They could have easily come out and said it. They knew damn well they weren't coming to this thing based on the full throttle comments through all that. You can't show up and have that conversation. The very least you could do is face that music. Don't wait until 10 days before and then run away. That's as corny can get.
Yeah. And I read it on the Section 10 Reddit, which I appreciated the compliment about how I feel being a barometer for other fans. And it's like, yeah, usually how Jared feels is how a lot of other fans feel too. And I'm not going to Winter Weekend. I'm not going. I fucking love Winter Weekend. I fucking love it. And I respect and appreciate all the hard work that those people put into putting on the event. Like specifically, like you've got Sarah McKenna, who is awesome at doing like all the events at Fenway to hype up the crowd, pregame ceremonies, stuff like that. All the like special ceremonies for former players, stuff like that. She does an awesome job. John Carter, who has been with like Red Sox Productions forever, like they do an amazing job. I'm not telling anyone don't go. I'm telling you that I'm not going because I'm just like not like it's not an exciting time to be a Red Sox fan. Like I'm not excited. I think when we used to go, when we were doing Section 10, it would be like me, Pete, Steve, Feidelberg would come. Then once Coley joined the show, Coley would come. And even after like guys left the show, like they would still come with us just for Winter Weekend, just because it was so fun. And now it's just like, I know what that would be for me. It would literally just be a bunch of angry fans asking me questions that should be asked to ownership. You know, like how many times can I say, I don't know why they're not spending money? Like, I don't know why they haven't made a big trade yet. I don't know why they said full throttle and they haven't done much. Like, I don't know. Like that, like that's annoying. Not annoying. Like I will always be grateful for any fan that like wants to come up and talk baseball with me. It's not annoying. But it is frustrating when I don't have the answers and the people who do have the answers aren't fucking showing up. That's what's frustrating. So I hope that we get to a point where it's fun again. I still think, you know, there's still going to be points during this season that like I am excited for. Like I'm fucking pumped that Lucas Giolito's here. Like that's my dude. Like I'm excited to see him pitch this year. I'm excited to see Brian Bayo take steps forward. Like I'm excited to see Tristan Casas is he like not to compare him to Freddie Freeman, but does he have that type of like offensive potential? Like, can he take that step forward? There's plenty of like individual things that I'm excited about, but as currently constructed, I mean, like you look at the rest of the division, you're like, we got no fucking shot. So I don't want to be one of these baseball fans, and God bless the ones who are, where every year you go into the baseball season and that's your mindset. You know, like if you're a fucking, I don't even know,
Mariners fan.
No, Mariners just went to the playoff. Like I'm talking like no shot. Like
never won anything.
Like a few years ago when he was still there. Be it like the example that comes to mind is a Royals fan. It's like, yeah, Whit Merrifield. Like I get to watch Whit Merrifield play 7 different positions, and he's probably going to lead the league in hits. And we got Salvador Perez back there. He's going to probably hit 40 bombs. We might lose 100 games. But like
Rockies and Chris Bryant.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we got to, or like back when they had Nolan Arenado, it's like, yeah, you know, I mean, but even in like 2019, I think like the Rockies are not that far removed. Like we look at them now like a fucking disaster because they are, but they're not that far removed from being relevant. But like some of these teams where on an annual basis, that has to be your mindset. That has to be how you look at it to maintain your sanity. Yeah, like there's this individual could do this, and I'm excited to see that. This individual could take a step forward here. Like, could Pivetta repeat the success? Like, yeah. And I think when you start piling those up, when you start saying this individual could do X, this individual could do Y, well, if you start talking about this individual and there's like 7 of them, it's like, whoa, then maybe we could piece together a good season here, you know? But
that's the issue. It's 7. Once you get into the game of 7 ifs, it's like, damn, 3 of those are going to fall off a cliff. Someone's mysteriously going to get hurt. One thing's going to go bad that nobody ever sees coming. Yeah. That's, you can talk yourself into that when you feel like a fringe contender. When you don't even feel like a fringe contender, which the Red Sox feel like right now, that's where you get people really pissed off. That's where you get people really frustrated. You can't even sell the vision to the most positive people on Red Sox Twitter. For years, I was getting crap. How do you stay so positive? How do you stay so positive? I don't think there's very few people, unless you're HVT.
He retired.
He retired. He's gone. He's dead. He was really
they even broke him. The most positive Red Sox fan in the world. They broke him.
Well, I think Twitter broke him more than the actual Red Sox, but there's no positivity around right now because
the Red Sox
can't
broke Twitter.
Yeah, you can't see the vision, and that's why they need to be there, because you need to kind of paint a picture here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but transparency. Be open with people. If you just say what it is, people will understand instead of you selling them on fake visions. Don't tell me there's no financial restrictions. Don't tell me full throttle. Don't tell me these things. Just be upfront and honest with me. But the Red Sox have chosen not to do that, and John Henry's talked about it since the luxury tax rate and all that stuff. Well, the reason John Henry doesn't want to talk, because when he feels like he's honest, people take it the wrong way. Well, Tom Warner tried that, and he basically lied to everyone's face about what full throttle was. So just say what it actually is instead of painting a different picture for everyone. That's all people want. That's all they're asking for.
Yeah.
Don't tell me Rafael Devers needs other stars to play with, and then you don't add other stars for him to play with.
Yep.
Just the words need to match the actions, and for a long time, the words have not matched the actions. And that's why people, every time you tweet out a report, don't give a fuck, don't want to see it, don't care. Why should you?
I have a question for you. What would the temperature of the fan base be right now if Tom Warner never said full throttle?
I'd still think angry, but it wouldn't be this bad.
It wouldn't be nearly as bad.
I think people would still be like, damn, we're going into another fucking bridge year. But I think a lot of people would also say, all right, Craig Breslow's first year, clearly they're going through a transition period, but it was the entire selling point after Heim was fired and how you framed everything. The Red Sox are about winning championships, that full throttle, the Devers comment, getting other stars. You need other guys like that around him. You built this all up, all this momentum to kind of, move on from this era of Heim, erase all that bad PR they were so clearly suffocating from that they felt the need to fire him at that point. Well, none of it came to fruition. If anything, all you said was, well, hey, we're going to actually keep doing the exact same thing. We're just hoping Breslow's a little bit better at his job than Heim was. That's all it is. That's the one thing that's changed. They found someone who they think can be better at his job, who can be more creative with trades.
They found someone who can be better at trade deadlines. They found a former player who understands that, we need reinforcements, so we can't just not make a move and he'll actually go out and make the move. But the comparison for me and what this feels like, tell me if I'm wrong. This is basically like if the Patriots, same era, the same run, right? Tom Brady wins his first Super Bowl in 2001. They win again in 2003. They win again in 2004. And then the 2007, 16-0 season, let's say they even fucking win that one. They go the distance. They win that one too.
I like this reality. Red Sox won in 2008 in this dream.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So you've got that type of success. And then Tom Brady leaves. They trade Tom Brady. Let's say they trade Tom Brady. Okay, now he's gone for 5 years. But he's still in his prime. He's still fucking Tom Brady. Then you go into that winter. And you're like, you know what? We're going to get Tom Brady back. We're going to trade for Tom Brady, guys. Fear not. He's coming home. And then they bring in Brady Quinn. Wow. That's what the Red Sox did. That's what the Red Sox did. Because if the Red Sox won in 2004, they won in 2007, they won in 2013, they won in 2018, and they fucking dominated. And then they traded Mookie Betts. And then they were not even a real baseball team in 2020. 2021, okay, fine, whatever. Last place, then last place. And then they said, you know what? Change is coming. We're going full fucking throttle. And we know what full throttle means because we've seen it before. We've seen 4 championships from you guys. We need stars to be able to go full throttle, but we've seen you bring in stars. We've seen you trade for them. We've seen you sign them. We've seen you trade for them, and then extend them. We've seen all this under you guys. So we know what full throttle means. And then Brady Quinn walks through that door.
That was such a weird comp. That was one of the weirdest. I don't know if a lot of people are going to follow.
Brady
Jake,
Quinn sucked in the NFL.
I do know that. Jake, what did you think of that analogy?
I thought it was a pretty good comp. I mean, you're just promising the world and just giving us dirt, basically.
Yeah, like you like we know what domination looks like. You willingly, like this wasn't like, oh, over time all of our stars got old and whatever. Like that's just what happens to cores. They get old and they move on. Like you willingly departed from domination. That was a choice. But then you told us you were going back to your days of being a dog. You told us you were going back to domination, and this is not it at all in any form or fashion.
And it's your reasoning for why you took that dip initially, where, now a year ago, a little bit more than that, you're telling us, or really even 2 years ago, you want to go back all the way to the Mookie stuff. Hey, we're taking this L on Mookie Betts, this generational player that, look at him today. From the American side, not Shohei Ohtani International, he's the biggest star in the game right now. Mookie's a star in Hollywood. He's doing it all. Golden Globes, he doesn't give a fuck. And he's still one of the best players in the entire world. You get everyone to accept, you sell them on this pitch of why they're doing it so you can keep Xander and Rafi. Well, one of those guys ends up leaving. It helps set you back. It's part of the reason you are where you are the last 2 seasons. It's just there's so many words the last couple of years that have been empty to Red Sox fans. Yeah. And there hasn't been any... this is why we went about it. Like I give credit to Heim. Heim was always very forward with things, but he'd kind of, not talk in circles, but he had that way of saying, nothing, but with a lot of words. I think everyone just wants the big boss, John Henry, Tom Warner. Just explain, what are you trying to do? What is your game plan here? Just say it straight out. Whether people agree with it or not, have the balls and have the fucking conviction to call your shot and what you're doing. You can't even say it. Are you that ashamed of what you're trying to do? How hard is it just to say what your intentions are? That's it. That's all people just say it.
That's the problem is he did. They just didn't put it on TV. Like John Henry
speaking to the expensive baseball player line.
Yeah. He sat up there and said, baseball players are really expensive. That's what he said. But even they didn't put it on Nesson. But he fucking told you that.
Which is very revealing. But on top of that, paint the plan. Where are you going? Are you waiting for Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Taylor, and Roman Anthony? If that is it, and you told people that, you would not be angering people. It's like taking a starving crowd and flashing fucking meat all in their face, and they're leaking, they're dying, they're doing anything for the meat, and they're like, dinner's in 3 fucking years, buddy. Like, it's not tonight, it's not in 2 hours, it's not in 3 hours, it's in 3 fucking years. Well, why are you fucking shoving it in my face like that?
The meat?
Stop it. Yes, the big meat. You're just wagging it in me, and we're hungry. We're starving. Don't tease us.
Did you mention that the meat was dripping, you said?
All over. Saucy, greasy.
Saucy, drippy meat, dude.
But like, that's just, you can't bring they knew everything we wanted to hear. Everything. When they had those press conferences in September, in October, when they hired Breslow, they hit all those lines for a reason, all those fucking buzzwords, all of them, because they were trying to get that positive PR. And guess what? It worked for like 2 months, didn't it? It was like, we were all on Twitter like, hey, October and I'd say most of November, positive vibes, baby. We're talking Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Jordan Montgomery. Like, fuck yeah, we're going to spend. And you saw how quickly that, goodwill went away because of what the last few years have been. And that's where you are right now. That's where you are in January 2024, where somehow you have already made it feel like, Red Sox Twitter, the Red Sox community is at their darkest point. At least I can remember as a fan, where, when the Mookie Betts situation happened and you traded that player, there was at least a good portion or a decent portion of the fandom that saw the vision or tried to put it together. Right now, there's very few people putting that vision together. Besides, saying Roman Anthony, Teal, Meyer, those guys will be it. There's very few people that understand what the light is at the end of the tunnel, because they realize if you're not willing to spend, then you're putting a cap on yourself. You're no longer the Dodgers. You're not the Yankees. You don't fit into that category. We are closer to mid-market than we are big market. And that's, for Red Sox fans today, people my age, that's not something we've lived.
Yeah. I wonder if something changed. And I'm going to point to this tweet from Evan G. because I tweeted out, I quote tweeted the town hall getting canceled. And I said, why? What happened? And Evan G tweeted me and he said, Jared, what did you hear back in September that made you say you were excited for this offseason? It could not have been more wrong. And I was like, the public comment made by ownership? And he said, I thought it was a scoop shop type thing. And it jogged my memory that I
know exactly what you're referring to, right?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but there were, I guess, private comments made that were on par with Full Throttle.
I'd say beyond Full Throttle.
Yeah. Like
we're being honest.
Let's just say like they were a little cocky. Like, we're back. Like, you
juicy.
Know. Yeah.
Juicy
like,
meat.
It was like the statement was a synonym for Full Throttle for sure. Like the sentiment was echoed in more corners than just Tom Warner's office. So like, you want to put it on. I mean, you know, credit to whomever for not saying it publicly, because that's what makes everyone pissed off now that it hasn't happened. But I feel like we're going full throttle this winter sentiment was not isolated to just Tom. Like, I feel like that's kind of like the stuff that we were hearing. So yeah, like to kind of transport my brain back to that time, that's probably a little bit why like I'm even more so frustrated. It's like what happened? Like when did we become this poverty franchise, and why? Because I could understand if John Henry sold the team and then a new ownership group came in and they maybe didn't have the same funds that Fenway Sports Group has. It's like, yeah, we're just kind of operating a little bit differently. It's the same fucking guy that had the team with the highest payroll in the league and then won the fucking World Series with 119 wins. It's the same guy. So what happened? And then on Catillo's podcast, like Sean McAdam brought up the whole thing about selling team. And he's like, yeah, I hate to break it to you, but like this whole shedding payroll thing is not a precursor to the Red Sox selling the team. So what happened? These are questions that, like, if I were sitting up there again for winter weekend and John was sitting there or Tom was sitting there, these are questions that I'm asking. Hey, you had the highest payroll in the game in 2018, and it turned out to be the most winningest franchise team in franchise history. You won the World Series. They've never won more games in a single season ever in team history. What the fuck happened, dude? Like, why are you shedding payroll? Why have the Red Sox finished in last place in back-to-back seasons 3 times in the last 4 years, staring down 4 out of 5 now with this fucking roster that you're trotting out there so far? Like, what happened? Like, that's, I think, more so, I think fans want to know what the fuck happened and where is this going? I think we've talked about this before about the whole bridge year thing.
No one knows where the bridge goes anymore. And
yeah,
that's just
some
what
fans don't want to be told, hey, 2024 is going to be a bridge year. Because then you're just like, fuck. And then you don't have hope, and then you don't care, and then you don't pay attention. There's no ticket sales and ratings drop because the team told you it's a bridge year. But like, wouldn't you want some transparency? Like, hey, what's the fucking plan here? Like,
you're not fooling anyone. No one's sitting here like, here we go, baby. Like, the big move's coming. It's not a bridge year. We're all sitting here like, damn. So instead of being up front with us and at least letting us prepare over the offseason for it and kind of get why you're piecing these things together, it's January 10th. And I feel like the girl who I had a date with, we like never were able to kind of go about things and figure out the time. Right? Like, oh, we had a date, but we really never figured out the time of the actual date. Right? Like, it's just, you're leading everybody on. You're constantly leading everyone on. But it shouldn't surprise you when you look at John Henry and you say, well, the guy was fucking 20 minutes late to Craig Breslow's introductory press conference. How about the guy who we find out now drew a line in the fucking budget last year? Heimblum couldn't even add money at the trade deadline. What was that about? John Henry, do you have an explanation for that? You know, like, what happened there? I thought we cared about winning. This isn't about a luxury tax or anything. You had $8 million. You told Heim he couldn't spend the money. I don't give a fuck if you couldn't trust Heim. Then he should have been fired before that. You punted on a trade deadline a year where you were in the conversation because you couldn't trust the guy running your front office. That's an indictment of you. It's an indictment of you not being able to make moves, or it's either an indictment of you being fucking cheap. Pick one.
Yeah.
Which one? Oh, God.
Yeah, it's the spirit.
I don't like this.
You gonna go to opening day?
I guess.
You guess?
Yes.
You gonna go to winter weekend?
No.
Why not?
They didn't earn that one. But once baseball actually comes back, there's no running away.
Okay.
We have to be deep in it at that point.
I mean, I'm just excited to watch baseball again.
That's it. And hopefully they will be better than what they are right now. How much better? That's a fair question. There's moves that are going to happen, though.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not looking at the Red Sox right now being like, this is the finished product. There's no way that they can be better than this. Like, yeah, like there's still moves to be made. But where you kind of get discouraged is the reports that, they're throwing out text messages at 3 a.m. after the bars are closed, but every girl is telling them to fuck off. Like,
no, you said you were going to go out with me and you never told me what time the date started.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We have no, like, when is Full Throttle? When we fucking?
I think we can just never talk about Full Throttle again because it's just not happening.
We are never going to be able to not to do, like, we're going to be doing that probably every fucking episode. We'll mention Full Throttle.
You can mention it and talk about what a fucking joke it is, but don't expect it. Like, there's no, like, so even now, Castillo just tweeted like an hour ago, as of Monday, no deal is close between Jorge Soler and the Red Sox, and he hasn't gotten an update since. So when you talk about like Imanaga, Teoscar, what?
We got final details on Imanaga.
What was it? 4 for 54?
53.
4 for 53?
Yeah.
Can you stomach that?
I would have been able to stomach that deal. I think if you told anybody that deal a week ago or 3 days ago, they would have been like, fuck yeah, why aren't the Red Sox on it? You know, we were worried that it was going to be $100 million. While I agree with you, they do need frontline pitching. Are you going to get a frontline starter or not? That's what it is. And I think in a lot of other ways, we all said the Red Sox needed 2 starters. Did we not? Minimum this offseason? Well, Giolito replaced Chris Sale. So you still should need 2 starters. If we're going back to where we were, but working under the luxury tax, those are different limits. Where I'd argue it is, if you're not going to go get Jordan Montgomery, if you're going to pay a DH and go get a cost-controlled arm, and you're playing to shed salary with Kenley Jansen, you're not going to be near that 237.
What else was on the docket?
Masataka Yoshida trade rumors.
Nah.
Not putting much stock into that?
No.
I think it's more than fair. It felt the way Ken Rosenthal framed it was like, here's an idea.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's exactly. So I was going to ask you, was there more to it than that? Because when people, like, the headline was a little misleading.
A little bit. Clickbaity.
Yeah, it made it seem like the Red Sox were like shopping him. And then in it was just a suggestion from Ken Rosenthal, who to my knowledge does not work for the Boston Red Sox, correct?
Nope.
Okay, so we don't, like, there was no actual report that the Red Sox are shopping him. It was just a suggestion from Ken Rosenthal.
So Alex Spear followed up a couple of days later saying they were willing to listen on offers, but there has been no word of shopping or
I'm sure they're willing
like
to listen to offers on everybody right now.
For those who don't know, Yoshida has $472 remaining on that deal right now. I just think, like, it feels like people have like gone really sour on the national side on Yoshida. I think part of it just goes back to last year, where so many people were like, how the fuck did the Red Sox give him that contract? They didn't get it. I think people who watched Masataka Yoshida's season, and there's certain Red Sox fans that are against it. The guy, the first half of the season, had a 136 weighted runs created plus. He was ridiculous. Like, we're talking 36% above league average as a hitter. Fell completely apart down the stretch. Looked exhausted for a guy who played in the WBC. Came over from Japan, where it's a much different schedule. Travels a lot lighter over there in Japan. And he clearly wore down, finished 6th in Rookie of the Year voting still. I don't know. I'm not looking at Masataka Yoshida and saying, oh, well, he's a guy who's a barely above league average bat. I still think he's better than that. I think you could talk 120 OPS plus, somewhere around there. Is that worth $18 million a year? it's fringy, but it's not the worst contract I ever seen. I just think if the Red Sox are shedding salary, the reality is with Yoshida, you're going to have to pay some of that money for someone to take the contract. I think that's just what it is. You're better off trying to let him prove that he's the player you envisioned when you signed him a year ago.
Yeah.
And he flashed enough of that this past year. People act like he just was mid all year long. He was great in the first half, and he was not very good in the second half.
Yeah.
And if you sign Solier or one of these other pieces, he'll be getting less time in left field. You can help keep him a little bit fresher that way as well. Maybe that kind of gets him where you want him to be. I'd listen though. Like if someone offers you a fucking crazy deal, sure. But otherwise, no. And the risk that comes with it, if he came here 1 year, he finally settles in and then you flip him somewhere else and you're trying to sign guys over in Japan when Yoshinobu Yamamoto really doesn't even make you a serious person they consider. Good luck trying to get, Roki Sasaki or another guy to come here and try to, plant his feet down for the foreseeable future. It's not a good look for you.
Yeah.
Even with a different regime.
Would you be interested in anything like that? Would you be interested in a Masataka Yoshida deal if it presented itself? If it was strictly to shed payroll and there wasn't like a name coming back?
I'd rather flip Kenley. I'm pretty firmly in that Kenley camp because I just think, first off, you have better options to replace him right now in that bullpen. Older closer. I think still with Yoshida, you can still get a very good hitter on that team. And I think for a team that strikes out a lot, his approach is going to be kind of a rarity for them right now, where someone who can work counts and hopefully draw some more walks this year closer to his profile in MPB. You kind of need that hitter because there's going to be strikeouts on this team. There's really no way to deny it. You don't have that Justin Turner anymore to balance it out. That makes someone with Yoshida's profile even more valuable. And yeah, I don't know. I just think there's better moves to make more in terms of one of the younger pieces if you're trying to get a deal done. I don't think Yoshida's the guy you shed salary for.
What else is there? I mean, I'm just looking at the projected lineup and it's fucking depressing.
Yeah. We got Chaim Bloom to the Cardinals. Yeah. Cardinals are my NL team, baby.
Yeah.
John Mozeliak stepping down after next year. Is Chaim going to take over in St. Louis a year from now?
Looks like it could be the case.
Come on. Cook Chaim. I'm happy for him.
Let Chaim cook.
He's having a hell of an offseason.
Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox. Go Red Sox.
I think Chaim is having a hell of an offseason. I really do. I think a lot of people are kind of looking at it and finally saying, listen, say what you will about Chaim. He was clearly had his hands tied a lot more than most people were willing to admit.
Yep. He was just on vacation. I talked to him a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Do you know where?
Yeah, but I'm not going to say.
Okay.
Just in case. I don't know why
Who
people
knows?
would be weird about where they vacation, but I don't know.
Maybe he has a house out there.
Maybe.
I will say for Chaim's sake, though, down with the Marlins, if he interviewed for that job, I think he gets it. I think he'd be leading their front office. Peter Bendix obviously got the job from Tampa Bay. He's handling everything over there. I think Chaim could have got that Marlins job. I think heading over to St. Louis, they don't hire guys from the outside there. That's a very big deal for him to kind of be in that mix over there. Good for him. He's an advisor. It's like John Daniels' role over in Tampa Bay, right? Where you kind of just bridge the gap for a year or two to see if, another job pops up that you want. But who knows? I think for Chaim, this is the kind of opportunity you kind of look for here, and running the Cardinals would be pretty damn cool.
Yeah, happy for Chaim. Happy he landed on his feet. I don't know that he wanted to just get back and run a team right away. Maybe it's something gradual like that. I don't know. We'll have to ask him. At some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other stuff we haven't touched on real quick. Paul Taboni promoted to assistant GM, VP of amateur scouting at that time. I think really the only conversation you have here, it's another cook in the kitchen. So now the 4 assistant GMs, Eddie, Raquel, and Michael Grootman.
Okay.
Taboni's been doing a hell of a job with the drafts, though. You look at the last 3 seasons, Meyer, York, Roman Anthony drafts. He was kind of leading a lot of those. Apparently, he really impressed. He interviewed for the CBO job. I think he was just a little bit early for it, unfortunately.
How old
we talk about, I think 32, 33. Very young dude. Yeah, 33 years old. but has kind of played a very big part in their draft processes. And if you compare him to some other guys in the front office, and he came up initially as a scout in 2015, how long that road is for a lot of guys. He's jumped so many people to get up to this point. You know, I'm not saying Craig Breslow on the way out or anything like that, but if I heard a year or two from now, Paul Taboni was getting other interviews with teams when they have front office jobs opening up, I wouldn't be surprised one bit.
Well, that's good.
Jorge Soler.
I mean, we just read the Castillo tweet. Like, there's just nothing happening there.
I will say,
didn't Heyman just do a stream today where he didn't even name them as a team that was in?
that was Morosi. Heyman did have the Red Sox as one of the teams in. All I'll say on Soler, and I pair this with my Teoscar Hernandez take, I don't lose my mind if you don't get Teoscar Hernandez, even though I'd say you like the guy so much that you said if you shed payroll, you'd be willing to give him the deal he's looking for. Clearly, you thought he was worth it to some degree, but you're making this decision based off financial restrictions. When you're the Boston Red Sox and you say full throttle, that's fucking embarrassing. If you really want to stick it to a 2-year deal, though, Jorge Soler does check off a lot of those boxes. I think he's just more risky, right? You look at what he did this past season, absolute fucking freak. There's nobody who's going to deny that. 250, 341, 512, 853, 36 jacks, 128 OPS plus. That's a better hitter than Justin Turner was last year. You slot him in that spot between Devers and Casas, you're fucking cooking. But you also go back to 2022, dud. 2021, he was a dud until he got traded to the Atlanta Braves. And then he went off, right? We all remember that. But Jorge Soler is a very up and down player. That's a risk you're going to have to take. And he's going to get paid. I think it's going to be something like 2 years, 32, 2 years, 34. Might fit the timeline a little bit better, but it also goes against what Breslow told you, earlier in the offseason about wanting versatility. Because I think best case scenario, maybe you tell him to go play left field for 81 games and Yoshida plays left field for 81.
I feel like people are a lot more out on Yoshida's defense this winter than they were last year when everyone kind of said that he wouldn't be a good defender out there. And then we kind of saw it, like eyeball test. I mean, the defensive metrics probably hate Yoshida, but like eyeball test, he was okay.
Yeah, I think you can get by with him, right? Like you put him in a spot like San Francisco, it's not going to be very pretty, but he plays 81 at Fenway. You put Jorge Soler in left field, it's not going to look much better. He was -3 outs above average last year. So you're mixing and matching from that standpoint. That is what it is. Is Yoshida so bad? Is he Hanley Ramirez out there? No, he's below average. It is what it is. You hope he can make up with it with the bat, which if Yoshida fits into his profile, if he's first half Yoshida, no one's going to give a fuck about how he plays defense.
Yeah.
It doesn't even need to be that. Be 120 OPS plus. Be Kyle Schwarber this past season, and people will be thrilled. Schwarber's making $20 million a year.
Schwarber's also a fucking legend, though.
Of course. Guy that probably should be here.
Yeah.
If you were willing to trade JD Martinez a year early.
Yeah. What else?
Next up, let's do Marcelo Meyer. You got any thoughts? We know he's fully healthy now.
I want to get him on the podcast.
He your boy? You guys talk at all?
We follow each other. We've never talked, though.
He's very quiet, it seems like, on the social media front.
Yeah. I mean,
we got like Blaze Jordan filming YouTube videos. Roman Anthony's now starting to cook, posting stories. I feel like we never hear anything. We didn't even know what was going on with Meyer. And he, apparently he's been full go this offseason. I haven't seen a video of him swinging a bat.
Good. He moves in silence. I like that.
Gangster. But I think for Meyer, that would be fun. I think for Meyer right now, the big thing is, and
I asked Kyle Teal. He didn't answer me.
When was that?
Sometime in the last week.
Okay. Another guy who cooks on social media as well.
Yeah. His brother too, right?
Yeah. They I think their dad owns a gym or like a baseball academy or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of guys right now that would be super interesting to talk to, like just to get to know them now, before they make their big league debuts. But that's what's fun about being a Red Sox fan right now. And it's like, I don't necessarily want to wait for the future, but I'm excited for it.
And the reality is, maybe the future is they're all here by September. Best case scenario.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Right.
I hope they fucking tank in the first half to just get them all up here for the second half. Just let it rip. Who cares?
Please, let's not be that bad.
Yeah.
I will say for Marcelo Meyer and everything like that, if you're on the, well, he needs to get traded, this is good for you, right? You can push him in a deal and there's no worry about medicals. If you're a Marcelo Meyer truther and you're like, hey, the guy who was tearing it up before the shoulder injury, that's the guy I believe in. Now he can. And if you want the splits, he got hurt May 7th trying to lay out a triple when he busted his shoulder out. 111 plate appearances, 337, 414, 582. He was cooking. After the shoulder injury, 190, 256, 366.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Lastly, oh no, that might be it for us. Oh, Mike Clevenger and Marcus Stroman. Both have off the field things that are, I think different levels, right? Mm-hmm. For people who don't know about Mike Clevenger, last year he was accused of abuse by his girlfriend to her and the child. MLB investigated. He was never suspended for the incident. Marcus Stroman is known to have issues with the media, like some anti-Semitic tweets back, when the whole Kyrie Irving thing was going on. What was it, a year ago? Maybe a little bit more than that now. Gained some bad rep from that. Stroman's also beefed publicly with Alex Cora.
Yeah.
Kind of trashing on him for the Astros cheating scandal. And that came out after Cora had made some comments saying, Stroman's the way he is with the way he plays. That's how he carries himself. Didn't say it outright negatively, but, you can assume there was a negative connotation based on the conversation. Both guys that, have some off the field stuff with them. Do you feel strongly about one or the other?
It sounds like Stroman's going to the Yankees.
Yeah, they initially, apparently he was the only one interested, and then Nightingale fixed his report and said now they're pretty into each other and they're the favorites.
Yeah, I get notifications all the time because that tweet that Stroman was talking shit about the Yankees, it was in a reply to me. So now every time that Yankee fans are like, see, this is the guy that they're going to sign. Like, we can't sign him. We can't bring him to the Bronx. And they quote tweet it and manually retweet it. I'm like, I get blown up all the time that Yankee fans talk about it. But yeah, I think he's one of those dudes that if he ended up there, that they would eventually grow to love him. It's not a perfect comparison, but they always used to say that about AJ Pierzynski. It's like a guy that you would hate if he wasn't on your team, but if he's on your team, you'd love him. They used to say that about Johnny Gomes too, which obviously became true here. But yeah, I could see the fit, but he's more, I think I saw somewhere today that his numbers at Yankee Stadium are the worst in any stadium in baseball.
Wow. I think for Yankees fans, you're talking about Verdugo and Stroman in the same offseason for them. Who they have beefed with both those players so heavily. So it's kind of funny to picture it. All I'm saying with Stroman, if you took, I'd have real concerns with him in this market and how he's kind of carried himself with some media. Because, dude, if you thought it was bad in New York when you were with the Mets, bro, you come here and what these radio shows say. And I love David Price, but we saw how some of that stuff kind of played out and how it, became problematic at times. I think Stroman, you could be looking at a really tough situation. And that's before the issues with the manager. Not saying they couldn't, find a path, but that's a problem. If you just took Stroman as a player and he was somebody else in terms of, stats and all that, like the same guy, I think I'd be all over it. I'd call him one of the better bets on the market right now. It's just, there's a lot of stuff outside that makes it a very tough decision. And for a Red Sox team that clearly needs help and is trying to avoid more bad PR, I don't know if that's the route you want to go.
I would be fascinated to see how that goes in the Bronx.
Heyman had the Red Sox still in on him today. And there's a Breslow connection there as well, obviously in Chicago together.
Right. I will say this. When he was with the Mets, people over there told me he fucking hates the media, hates them like poison. And then last year, I guess now it's last year because it's 2024. When I went to Wrigley talking to some guys of the Cubs, they were all like, yeah, everyone here loves him. So, for whatever, I guess, gets attached to him that's considered baggage, I didn't get the sense that his teammates didn't have his back in Chicago. And that's, I guess, the most recent example of employment would be the Cubs. So
On the Clevenger side of things, I kind of look at it. I look at Clevenger at this point, 24 starts this past year, 377 ERA, 428 FIP. He's like a number 4. He's not going to be the guy he was pre-Tommy John surgery. I think we all know that. Obviously, he has a relationship with Lucas Giolito, as we just heard. Limits walks, doesn't give up hard contact, just not going to miss a lot of bats in general. The way I look at it, if you're looking for mid-ish pitchers, there's plenty of options that don't walk you down the baggage lane. Matt Dermody, all that stuff last year. Do you really want to live through it again? Do you want to go through all those headlines and all that stuff? Personally, for me, I think where you are right now, there's better alternatives to that. You don't need to walk down that line.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it. Soler, Meyer, Clevenger, Yoshida, Taboni. We hit it all.
Wow. Great work by you today, T-Dog.
Thank you. I try to grind. You know me.
Yeah.
Look, my lights nice and bright in my room
you look
today.
Great. Looks great. Yeah.
We're upgrading.
You came in hot with the questions for Giolito. You weren't intimidated.
I wasn't proud. I said it off cam, but not my strongest interview.
You
but
did, I think you did a great job.
You build up. It's good talking. I haven't done many with players. So
was that the first time that you talked to a player of like his stature?
Definitely. No disrespect to Matt Barnes, but Matt Barnes would be the closest thing I could compare to that.
Oh, all right. Well, let's get you some more players on here then.
I like talking ball.
Kid loves talking ball. Let's talk some fucking ball. I think the plan right now, I get it. What?
Your Hall of Fame ballot, I want to tell you, and I didn't even text this to you because I wanted to tell you in person. Perfect. It was exactly my Hall of Fame ballot. I made mine out for work the other day. Legit perfect. Could not. I was very iffy on Chase Utley. I wasn't willing to go first ballot, but I think I'd heavily consider it in the following year. But I thought your ballot was perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that's where I'm at too on Chase Utley. It wasn't like a hard no. It was more just like, these are my definite yeses. And then I voted for 9 guys. So I only had 1 spot left. And there were other guys that I think for next year I will consider, like Andy Pettitte. Like Jay Hay opened up my mind to voting for Andy Pettitte. Mark Burley's another one that I think I need to take a harder look at. And then Chase Utley, another guy. And then like Mets fans were complaining about David Wright, but I don't know. Because I think where we're going to run into trouble now is if we say David Wright's not a Hall of Famer, how is it going to look when we say that Dustin Pedroia is? That's
it. And honestly, as someone who's a Chris Sale Hall of Fame believer as well, I consider it a very similar argument right now.
Yeah.
Where the prime is so ridiculous. I don't know how you don't acknowledge it, but I do think David Wright, and I even hate to say it with Dustin Pedroia, I usually put them in the just short category.
I mean, I'm voting for Dustin, so
I would vote for him because he's my favorite player growing up. But when you get down to it, from a stats standpoint, but that's peak, right? That's the peak conversation with Chase Utley, and I think Chase Utley as well with Dustin Pedroia. Even though I vote steroid users in, if we're talking large scale, what other people think, Robinson Cano has destroyed his legacy. Those 2 guys, you got to look at them a little bit differently as kind of the kings of their generation at second base, with Cano no longer being there.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'd probably vote for Robinson Cano if he was on the Hall of Fame ballot.
Yeah. All right. I got to figure out a guest for next week. Who do you want?
Are we making a change?
Well, no, because we have Giolito.
Oh, that's 2 weeks.
Yeah. 2 weeks from now. You know what? I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to bring it up in the interview. Andrew Bailey.
Oh,
the Section 10 Reddit was like, oh, you know what? I feel like there's other people around that probably pay attention to shit like this. When we're like, oh yeah, like let's get Andrew Bailey, and yeah, I'll ask him. And then next thing you know, he's on every fucking Red Sox podcast.
He did what? Baseball Isn't Boring, or Bradfo's podcast, and then he did Cotillo and McAdam back-to-back days.
Yeah. So now, like I've said a million times, I don't listen to other people's podcasts. Now I feel like I have to listen to those interviews so that we don't ask him the same shit.
I was thinking this. There is really only so many things you can ask Andrew Bailey because nothing's really happened yet.
Yeah, I might not even do it now. I'm gonna be like, hey, Andrew Bailey, like what are we doing here? I mean,
yeah, but all right, let's see what happens over the next 2 weeks. If they make a move, say they make the trade for that next starter, then we have a lot to talk about.
Well, I mean, I'm going to have him on anyway. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not even going to fucking listen to those other interviews. And if we happen to ask a repeat question, then so be it. I feel like I mean, like Giolito has been on, I mean, I guess he hasn't really done other podcasts, but he does that thing with like Chris Rose. I don't like listen to other shows. So I just kind of like ask the questions that I'm curious about.
I know we didn't copy anything you talked about on Foul Territory. I can tell you that much.
There you go. Bing, bang, boom.
Next week,
yeah.
Hopefully it's Marcel Meyer.
You want me to ask Marcelo Meyer? Here's my
or
fear.
maybe TL responds to you first.
Maybe. Here's my fear, right? Like I ask Kyle Teal to come on the podcast and then he doesn't answer. And then it's like, does that get like screenshotted and put in like the Red Sox prospects group text? And they're like, oh, look at this fucking loser trying to get me on his podcast. And then he doesn't answer. So then I ask Marcelo Meyer and then he's like, oh, he asked me too. What a fucking loser. Like that's where my mind goes.
If I was a prospect and I was getting that treatment, I'd be hyped because it means like, damn, I'm really about to like lock in and, you know, I'm getting I made this comp when we were talking before.
Yeah.
I consider Jared like when you go to California and you're like a rapper, you got to check in with the Bloods. Like you gotta be like, hey, bro.
Death Row Records, yeah.
Yeah, like, yo, what's good, bro? Like, we good? I'm not gonna get jumped. You gonna cover me? Yeah. Well, if I'm a Red Sox prospect or someone coming here like Lucas Giolito, I'm checking in with you because I know if we're good, I'm gonna be good with everybody.
That's all it takes, really. I mean, I'm a sucker for pandering, no doubt. Like, perfect example, Kike Hernandez. What a disaster that first half was, and I didn't say a fucking word.
Hey, you go
to wine and paint night with me in spring training. Guess what? You're a protected guy in these streets.
But I would also add, look at Tristan Casas. All you guys in the minor leagues right now, Tristan Casas.
Tristan Casas came on Section 10. That was the first interview he probably ever did in his fucking life.
And look at him now.
Yeah, made man.
That's who you can be. Blaze Jordan, obviously not in the big leagues yet, but he's in those prospect chats.
We had Blaze Jordan. Blaze Jordan, I believe, was the last episode of Section 10 ever.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he's doing his own YouTube videos and everything. I don't know. I don't think they could hate on the podcast life. And I know Roman Anthony did Ed Hand's podcast earlier this offseason.
Yeah. But again, like I don't listen to other people's shit. So I don't know. We'll do some thinking on it. We got like a wide open seat for next week.
I've had media members, specifically people I work with, ask when they're going to be on.
Who?
James Stewart.
James Stewart
is very badly wanting to come on with us
in Pete's basement. And
do you remember what he did?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, come on.
No, what did he do?
So he was on the episode after David Price signed, and he brought soup to Pete in Alan Craig's studios, right?
Okay, yeah.
And he was sick. He gave him the soup, helped him heal up, and then Jay Stu was there for that.
I do remember that. Yeah. So, all right. If Jay Stu wants to get back into business, then let's do it.
I will say, out of anyone in this market, nobody will slander Sam Kennedy harder than Jay Stu.
I thought they had a good relationship.
Maybe personally, but definitely not on air.
Now it makes me wonder if I should ask Sam.
Whoa. No way. Would he do it?
Why not?
Dog. Well, if you're going to be at Winter Weekend, I guess what's the difference, right? Like you're going to get it in real life. The podcast can't be much different.
Can't hurt to ask.
I wouldn't hate it. What does he have to say? I know we're probably going to get the, PR kind of messages or whatever they are, but he'll have to face them.
I think I love Sam Kennedy. I know that he gets fed to the wolves by the Red Sox.
Well, John Henry throws him to be the face.
Yeah.
To go and speak on their behalf.
All due respect to Sam Kennedy's bank account, but he's not the dude that's cutting a $350 million check to
Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah.
What I will say,
he's not cutting that check.
What some people hold to him, and I truthfully don't know when I say this, it's not my take. People say, well, why can't he convince? Larry Lucchino used to be maybe that guy that had some of that fire that would push some of those buttons that needed to be pushed to make things happen. Where did that go?
Yeah. You know what, Tyler? Let me massage this. Let me
massage me, J-Dog.
I'm gonna try and see where we're at on that. Because I'm not gonna force the issue. If he doesn't want to do it, that's fine. I get it. I know it's not personal, it's business. But I think
he never did Section 10, right?
He did.
Oh, he did back in the day. Okay.
We did it at Winter Weekend.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I believe that was Winter Weekend 18. Yeah, 18 or 19. Might have been 18. Yeah.
Sounds like good timing.
Because that's when we were having the debate in the Barstool office. Like if I died, would they wear a black? Would they wear a patch on their sleeves on the jersey? And I asked Sam. I was like, we're having a debate right now. Like, would you guys do like an honorary patch if I died? And he was like, yeah.
Would you want that?
No, I think
I'd wear one for you.
What I said was, I was like, you know how like when Jose Fernandez died, like certain players throughout the league, like they put like in Sharpie, they put like his number on it, or like his initials or something. I was like, I feel like some guys might do something like that, but like they're not doing a fucking patch.
Lucas Giolito will be doing this after whenever you go over the edge of the season.
Yeah, I feel there's definitely some dudes in the league that if I died, they would put like a JC on their cap or something.
JC 34.
The fuck is 34?
How old are you?
34, but that's not my fucking number, dude.
Well, what's your number?
13.
Oh no, JC 34 sounds way better.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. 13 is my lucky number. You want to know why?
Why?
There's a lot of reasons why. First and foremost, it's 13 letters in Jared Carrabis. Okay.
That feels like you found that out after.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My season ticket seat number at Fenway Park, seat 13.
Better reasoning.
In 2004, I always wore the number 3 because I was born on the 3rd. And in 2004, I was the captain, so I got to pick my jersey first. And I picked what I thought was 3, ended up being 13. That was the year that I threw the no-hitter, 13 strikeouts. Red Sox win the World Series the first year that I wear the number 13. They win the World Series again in 2007. I was a freshman in college. That's 13th grade. They win again in 20.
No. You don't get to use that one. That's crazy.
Yep. That's
13th grade. That's insane.
Yep. They win again in 2013. And then in 2018, that was my 13th year of my career.
That was deep. You put a lot of thought into that. Do you know what my number is?
Don't care.
Okay. And now ask nicely.
All right, what is it?
It's 11. You want to know why it's 11?
I don't.
My birthday is May 11th, right?
Yeah.
And when I was captain of Mutual Bank my last year in Little League, number 1, that number's taken. Unfortunately, a kid who had the number earlier passed away. And as captain of the team, I wanted to have some form of 1. So I put the 2 1s and rocked 11, and that became my number.
I like that.
Not as deep as your story, but
no. Sentimental value. It's always a good thing. Jake's takes.
Just can't fucking wait for this Papelbon talk show. It's just exactly what the fans need right now.
Dude, he's saying some crazy shit today.
Yeah, he was coming after JD Drew. I hated that.
I was about to say, if anyone's going to be upset about that, it's you.
I hated it. But Paps had my back on so many things that I can't. JD Drew's never even looked at me, so I can't really come to his defense that passionately. But I mean, I was a big fan of JD Drew.
I look at Pap like my grandfather. He's going to say some wild ass shit sometimes, but he's earned the right to.
That's fair. All right, we'll be back next week with don't know.
Marcelo Teal.
Could be Kyle Teal, could be Marcel Meyer, could be Sam Kennedy, could be Jimmy Stewart, could be Jonathan Papelbon. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, that's another good one. Be like, hey, like, what are you gonna do at winter weekend, Pap?
Bro, he just cook Alex Verdugo for 2 hours.
I think I have Pap's number. I've never used it, but I think I have it. Let me double check.
He'd definitely come on. He's dying to talk some shit. And I will say, if someone's going to be very honest about the Red Sox, it's him.
Can confirm I have Jonathan Papelbon's number. So maybe I'll reach out. Be like, hey, trying to make your debut.
Let's just have them all on at the same time.
Do like a Friendsgiving.
Yeah. Marcel Meyer, Kyle Tail, all in one call, and we'll go one by one with questions.
Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Buenas noches, amigos.